for the Bellator 245 and 246 virtual media availability. We're looking forward to an action-packed doubleheader this weekend at Mohegan Sun, starting Friday night with Bellator 245, Davis versus Machida, followed by Saturday night's event, Bellator 246, Archuleta versus Mix. The events air on their respective nights live on Paramount Network at 10 p.m. Eastern and will simulcast live on DAZN. On today's virtual media availability, we have 10 to 12 minute blocks with some of our main card competitors from each night in the following order: Phil Davis, Kat Zingano, Ed Ruth, Raymond Daniels, Juan Archuleta, Jon Fitch, Liz Carmouche, Derek Campos, Keoni Diggs, Neiman Gracie, Patrick Mix, and Lyoto Machida. If you have a question for the fighters, please use either the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen or ask in the Q&A section. When it's your turn to ask a question, you'll be asked to unmute your line and you'll be able to ask your question. If you have any issues, you can send me a message through the chat feature, and we will begin shortly with Phil Davis. All right, we're now being joined by Phil Davis. Our first question will come from Jay Anderson.
What's up, Jay?
Thanks very much, Phil. Not doing too bad. I wanted to ask you, first of all, with Ryan Bader. Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, I got you.
We could hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Mr.
Perfect.
Anderson.
I get that way more often than I care to admit. Let me just start over. With Ryan Bader losing that light heavyweight title, that kind of eliminates an obstacle you had in getting back to the title shot, namely the losses to him. Not that I'm questioning your motivation, but does that light a little extra fire under you heading into this fight?
It's kind of like all things are connected. It's I got to get through this fight in order to get back to the belt. So, I mean, I'm as motivated for this fight as I am for the next fight because it's all connected to where I want to be.
When you look at this one, I mean, you and Lyoto first fought, 7 years ago. Needless to say, you've grown, but how have you changed? And do you see him as having changed his game significantly since that first fight?
Yeah. He's in his last fight versus Chael Sonnen, he was he showed a little bit more range in terms of techniques than I've seen previously. He's always been good with his knees, but he looked, pretty athletic. He moves pretty well. So a little bit. He's definitely an evolved fighter as well.
The last one for me, I mean, this is going to be a different kind of fight for you. No crowd, both corners audible. What are you expecting going in there? And have you done anything to kind of prepare for that environment in terms of, imitating it in the gym?
Preparing for a, silent arena? I train in a silent gym all the time. I mean, that's the hard part is training for, not being able to hear and training for a loud crowd. But this, I imagine, will be very similar to training. Sometimes you have a tough guy that comes in from somewhere else and his coaches are there coaching him and your coaches are there coaching you. And it'll be very similar to that. But,
all right. Well,
I'll let you know.
Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Steve Jewell.
All right. Thank you, Phil. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And it's been about a year now since your fight with Carl Albrechtsen, and the world has changed significantly in that time. So how has your training changed up with the new pandemic circumstances we're all living with?
I now spar with the mask on because it's very similar to the training mask. No, I'm kidding. I don't. What I mostly do is my training time has changed and my training schedule has changed. I'm the flexible parent in my house, so with no school, I spend most of my time at home teaching and making food and all of those good things. And I get my workouts in the morning and then again in the evening. And other than that, not much has changed. It's just being more flexible and more intentional with my time.
All right. And having seen Nemkov dethrone Ryan Bader, obviously that was a goal of yours to get that win over Bader and get the title back. But now, knowing that you fought Nemkov to such a close split decision last time, how motivated do you feel knowing that you're already in the driver's seat?
Well, I'm as motivated as ever. And, all things are connected. This fight is my ultimate goal is to get back to that Bellator world title. and be the champion and have the belt. And I want that belt, and this fight is standing in the way of me getting into a championship fight. And so, and that's been my thought process all along is, just stay doing what you're doing. You got to string together a bunch of victories, make your case that you want to be the champion, and that's the way it works. So, I'm pumped and I'm motivated.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing your performance on Friday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John?
Hi, Phil. I was wondering, I know you beat Machida back in 2013. Do you remember anything from that fight? And did you rewatch that fight before this one?
That was a special fight for me. Big name like Machida, for the former champion, down in Brazil. Everything was. That was a really big fight, and especially for my career. And that was a fight I'm gonna remember forever. I feel like I remember every minute of that fight. And I actually did not go back and rewatch it. I just don't want. I expect that enough time has taken place that he won't be as much like that fighter. And I know that I am nothing like, obviously the same person, had the same skill set, but improved on that. But there's less value in some of the things that happen because there's so much time that's elapsed in between. So I expect that a lot of the things that I might see, a lot of the mistakes I might find, maybe won't be there.
And then just the last thing for me then, a few weeks ago, Scott Coker was saying how he believes that Bellator has the best light heavyweight division in the whole entire sport. Do you agree with that?
I don't know how I can not believe that. I mean, we stack out well. I wouldn't even say stack out. We simply have the best fighters in the world.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate the time.
Mm-hmm.
Giancarlo?
Hi, Phil. You've had your fair share of rematches in the past, like with Bader and McGeary. Just does it make it more difficult going into a rematch? Like, do you feel a little hesitant at times because maybe some of the things you did in that first fight might not work in the second fight?
That's always a thing going in with rematches, and I felt that with my rematches with Bader and McGeary. And but this one is a little bit different. So much time has gone past. I'm not exactly sure how much is the same I'm going to get. He's probably going to get an entirely different look. Not even by my choosing. That's just who I am now. And, there's a lot to overthink. That's the thing with rematches. It's a lot to overthink. And I try my best not to. I've gotten my game to a place where I'm completely confident every time I go in what I'm capable of doing. And I've just improved on so much in between 2013 and now that, you don't want to overthink it by going back and looking at your old mistakes.
And the final question for me, you just spoke about that, like improving. What area of your game do you feel you've improved on the most?
Well, maybe my stand-up has probably received the greatest margin in that time span. I've definitely improved on my grappling and my wrestling, my finishing rate in terms of getting into different grappling positions and from ground and pound. So, I just everything has just increased over the last 5-6 years.
Gareth?
Excuse me, gentlemen. I'm just in the middle of dinner in London. So do forgive me. Let me just finish what's in my mouth. Mr. Davis, sir, you know with the mask on you look 25, not 35.
Ah, thank you.
You do. You really do. And anyone else watching you now will agree with me because you looked so young when you walked in just then with the mask on.
Hey, I hope you wash down that food with some Earl Grey, my friend.
I will be indeed. So I've got three little questions really. I spoke to you during lockdown, and we had an amazing chat. And you were at home with the family, and you were saying that you really wanted to carefully tailor, not gym hopping too much when you were training. How has that changed then in reality, getting ready for the fight?
Man, it did not change. I just kept it small. I just kept it small. When I need more training partners, I have my set guys that I work with, and I did my best to coordinate that they come to me, and that was what worked, and that's what worked. So I kept it as small as possible and stayed in one spot.
Can I just take you back to that question? Very good question just now by one of the other journos about the first fight with Lyoto Machida, because I remember that fight as well. And I think, could I take you further in terms of what you're saying? Because at the time when you fought him, it was in the middle of him fighting Rashad Evans, Shogun twice, Quinton Jackson, Randy Couture, John Jones, Ryan Bader, Dan Henderson, then you, Mark Munoz, Gegard Mousasi, and Chris Weidman. When you had that fight with him, and as you say, it was down in Brazil, former champion, was that the night? Because he still had that air of impenetrability at the time with his skills. Was that the night your self-belief grew enormously?
Yes. I've always believed in myself. More so than my self-belief. It was more of the I told you so. At that time, man, Machida, and to this day, Machida is just a hard guy to land a glove on.
Yeah.
And after that fight, it was like, whoa, what happened here? Like that looked very different from any fight he had previously, he really doesn't get taken down as much. He's very good at getting up. And that fight, he got taken down, and he couldn't get up. He was getting taken shots from top or from bottom, and so I feel like that more than anything kind of really. So I agree with you. Yes, my confidence did grow in. You can do what you do to anyone in the world, but I think the MMA fans kind of grew this appreciation for. There's something about Phil that is completely different from. He has a skill set that is hard to match.
Yeah, against one of the guys who had always been considered very hard to mental. Now that's what I meant. That's what I was getting at, because it was.
Yeah, I know what you meant, and that's why I said it, because I was like, I know what he means, so I'm gonna just say it for him.
Thank you. Are you considering this fight with Lyoto literally an eliminator for you to get back in there with Nemkov?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to be back in there and fighting for that title. I want to win that title back. And there's only one path to the title, and that's victory. And that's always been the plan. That's even before I had the belt the first time, it was win, 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 and then you'll end up at the title. So this is no different.
All right. Thank you very much, Phil. Appreciate it. We'll be right back with Kat Zingano.
I tried really hard on this.
All right, we're now being joined by Kat Zingano. If you have any questions for Kat, please raise your hand now. We'll start with Harry Mack.
Hi, Kat. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I am new around here, so I wish we could be meeting under more normal circumstances. But good to see you, and we're all excited to see you back in the cage.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So do you feel like, it's been almost 2 years since your last fight. Do you feel like the layoff and the recovery from surgery has impacted your preparation?
No, I mean, I feel fresh. Like, I feel new and fresh and like remotivated and got to change, got to move up a weight class. I feel, I don't know, like I got to regroup on it. So I'm pumped. I feel healthy. I got all the coaches figured out. I got weight situations figured out. Like it's been easy and hard in all the right ways. So I'm happy.
No, glad to hear that. So after opening as a minus 170 favorite.
I don't know what that means.
We lost you there, Harry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you hear me?
Yep.
So you opened as a slight betting favorite in Las Vegas, and you've been bet down to minus 900 currently, so a very big favorite. So is it something that you kind of weigh in, knowing that bettors in Vegas seem to be backing you?
I don't care what any of that says. I don't care. Like, it means nothing to me because everyone is out here fighting their ass off. Anything can happen. Everyone trained hard. Everybody wants it. There's no math to be had in MMA. It's got a little bit of luck, a lot of work ethic, and a lot of grind, drive, motivation. Those factors are all different. So I don't take any second of this lightly. I have not taken one day thinking that I'm a favorite. It doesn't matter that way. That's not how I work.
Kevin?
Hey, Kat. One of the big questions is, with the coming into Bellator, are you trying to make a big impact? And what can you say about your previous chapter in the UFC?
I'm really excited to be here. I feel refreshed. I feel like, it's a great new opportunity. Yeah, I'm coming here to bang. Like, I'm ready to turn it all up and turn it all on and do what I need to do to be successful. Like, this has been, a crazy road in this entire sport. And here I am doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And I'm liking it. I like the view. And as far as stuff with the UFC, I mean, it's a closed chapter, and I'm grateful for all the marketing that went into me. I'm grateful for all the opportunities to have fought for a title fight. I fought some of the best women in the world, have beaten some of the best women in the world. A lot of experiences there, a lot of growth and learning, and it prepares me for this next chapter in a way that I'm excited about too. So really, it's only good things.
Damon?
Hey, Kat. Obviously, this is kind of a weird situation. It's basically been a little over a year since your time at the UFC came to an end, and then because of the pandemic, everything kind of got pushed back with your Bellator debut. But can you kind of give me a sense of, like, do you feel like this is a bit of a fresh start for you in a way, considering everything you went through to get here and now a new weight class again? Like, do you feel like this is kind of a Kat Zingano 2.0?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely come into my life at the time and in the way that I've needed to. And, it's a great new chapter. It's something I'm very excited about. It's something I'm very motivated by. Training has been going so smoothly. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a whole new regroup, a whole new fresh start. And, I feel every way that I need to feel in order to come out and be successful.
When you left the UFC last year, you had said it was almost basically a mutual parting of the ways in a way, depending on how they were looking at how you were looking at it. Obviously, this is your first fight for Bellator, but how has the experience been with Bellator in terms of the organization, the way they've treated you, conversation with Scott Coker, things like that? How has your time at Bellator been so far?
It's been so mellow and supportive. And, it's just so much support, you know, and they just want to treat you so good. They want you to enjoy your experience. You know, those were the things that I truly loved about the sports in martial arts when I first came up, was just like people just wanting you to do good and doing the things that need to be done in order for you to compete at your most optimal weight. And I don't know, I'm experiencing this like stress-free, very comfortable week this week, even with training camp, even with figuring out opponents, even with signing and showing up to different events. Like there was a whole new energy to it that just made me feel very like healthy. And like I got a bigger, better say in what everything needs to look like. And, you know, it was a very good decision to part the way that we needed to part. I have no ill relationship with the UFC, but the conversations and the way that they were going at the time of the split was, you know, they went a way that they went, that it just made sense to have me see what else I wanted to go do. And after shopping around, so like, you know, to be intelligent about what I wanted to do next, you know, Bellator was everything I could have asked for, and was very authentic and straightforward with what this was going to look like. And so far it's been everything. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be, you know, taking my career in this direction right now and feeling the ways I'm feeling, and like being able to focus and train and handle it the way that I've kind of always wanted to. So it's really nice.
And how has the move to featherweight been? I mean, obviously, I know your last fight was at featherweight, but I think at that point you were a bantamweight going up to featherweight. Now it feels like you are a true featherweight. Have you made that change? Do you feel like a true featherweight now?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been. I used to fight at 125, and I was gigantic. I'm pretty sure I almost died a couple of times making weight, so it made it a little natural for me to go up to 35. And you know, as we get older and our bodies get denser, and we just keep using those muscles, like it's harder to cut weight over and over again. And I think with the longevity of the sport and what I love about it and what I want to do here, it made more sense to go up, because I was still a really, really big bantamweight too. So, you know, I'd walk around healthy, eating right, lifting in between camps at like 165 pounds, sometimes up to 170. And at a certain point, you know, that got tricky on my body to get down to 135. And like, I did it every single time. I've never not made weight in my life, but it kind of made sense, especially for what I want to do and how long I want to continue to do it, for me to go up and just, you know, work on what it takes to be a very strong and good featherweight versus, you know, depleting myself and suffer so much to get down to 135. So, yeah, I mean, I still walk around big as I always have, but, you know, it's less impact and stress on my body to have to hit that trampoline of like what your weight does every single time, what your endocrine system does every single time that you have to cut so big and so hard, and then, you know, bounce back, but also stay ready all in between while your body's in this like crazy, I don't know what to do mode. So, you know, it's cool to be healthy, and it's cool to have just these strong practices and these strong lifting sessions, and, you know, being able to weigh in 10 pounds heavier, even though I still have a pretty decent cut. It is weird because, you know, I put on 10 pounds at a fight, which, you know, doesn't put me as shredded every single weigh-in. So that's kind of like a weird difference that I do notice, but where I make up for strength and where I make up for, you know, the discipline I can add to these practices and getting everything out the way I need to is so wonderful that it feels amazing. It feels so good to feel as healthy as I do, and being able to hit all my goals and have the hard days not as hard, and have the good days you're just a monster.
And my last question, Kat, of course, I don't want to look past your opponent on Friday. You want to make a big statement. You want to make a big debut, but I don't think anyone would be shocked to believe that, you know, win here puts you right into title contention. How much, you know, in terms of timing, I mean, are you looking at this as a fight to win and then move on to immediately look at Chris Cyborg, or where? Because I think everyone's kind of thinking, you know, you and Chris Cyborg is a fight we eventually want to see or will see.
Yeah, I mean, I think signing all of us with Bellator, the goal and the intent is to set it up for everybody to go against each other in these fascinating ways, of course, ending up being the belt in title contentions. That obviously is a big point. You know, it makes sense. But for me personally, like, everything is about that fight Friday night. Everything is about doing well there, getting past the one fight, getting past the one person, getting past every single punch, every single kick, and living second by second. Like, I can't look at what's forward or ahead of me, because none of that is happening right now. Nothing. And I can't look at the past, because none of that's happening either. What's happening is here right now, making weight, touching gloves with my opponent, getting in there and trying to get my win that I came for. And that's all that matters. That's all that I can focus on right now. Everything else will happen in the time that it's supposed to.
Steve?
All right, Kat, thank you for the time today. And
Sure.
I'm wondering, with the featherweight division in Bellator, it's always been robust and filled with a lot of talent, whereas it seemed like in UFC, they were building it largely around Chris Cyborg and bringing in the fighter of the week to face her. So was that part of your decision-making going to Bellator, knowing that you could not only move up to featherweight, but there would be a full range of fighters for you to fight?
I'll be honest, with the UFC, I was expecting to probably have to bounce between featherweight and bantamweight. I didn't expect to fully be committed to just the featherweight. And I think that was in part because it was a rather shallow division, and most of the people there did bounce between bantamweight and featherweight. So I kind of just expected that was what I was going to do. I also had the goal of, you know, being champion in both. I wanted to fight everyone and see what I could do, and, you know, do my best and get my best personal accomplishments out of it. So with leaving there and coming here and there being this deep division of 145, it's like a total different perspective. It's like, these are big girls, and they have big girl strength, and they have big girl size. And, you know, it's awesome that it's like real big girls versus bantamweights that are going up and, you know, basically just getting to eat whatever they want through a training camp, but they're still the same size person. Like, I'm excited about this division. It's going to be strong women. It's going to be badass women. There's a lot of them. And, you know, the possibilities of who you fight and how, and the different styles and the different matchups is awesome. There's a lot going on here, and it's a very developed division. And I know they're doing even more to develop it. That's why they brought us in the way that they did. And it's cool. You know, it's epic, and it's moving forward in a way that I think is great for MMA.
And speaking of big, strong women in this division, the former champion Julia Budd is obviously working to get back to Chris Cyborg, but at the same time, she had a run of nearly a decade of dominance. So can you see either of you getting to Chris Cyborg without having to face each other?
I mean, I don't know why we would want to not have to face each other. I mean, I've recognized Julia Budd as a fighter again since I was basically doing nothing with this sport. I was in jiu-jitsu and first recognized MMA, and I was like, look at that girl's abs. Like, she's a beast, and she knows what she's doing in there. And, you know, she was strong and big, and you know, she was right when I noticed her was right around the same era that I noticed Cyborg. So as a young fighter at the time, I'm looking at both of them as like, I want to eat that. I want to fight that. I want to be there. And, you know, so it's cool that it's not necessarily just a thought or a exciting, I guess, idea of mine, but now there's potential, you know, now it's a matter of time type of feeling. So, you know, I want to see how I do on everyone. I want to see how they feel, how they do too. So, yeah, we'll probably run into each other, and who knows what her path looks like as far as fighting Chris next or anything like that. It's all still yet to be written.
All right, we'll have time for one more question from Trevor Mende.
Hey, Kat. One of the things that I've noticed is like you seem to have a new energy coming to Bellator. How is like the mental process? Like, you know, you in a mental mindset coming into Bellator. Like, do you feel refreshed? Do you feel like re-energized now?
I do. I feel re-energized. I feel like a weird like rebirth almost, you know, where I'm getting treated in a way that I really appreciate, you know, my size, my style, my ability, what I've already done, my potential. Like I just feel like this is going to be a great chapter. I've done a lot to work on myself, you know, completely out of the box stuff, you know, completely standardized stuff as well. So, you know, I really feel I've checked all the boxes as far as being my best self. And like, I'm pumped about showing up and just like being, you know, and being taken care of in ways that let me focus on fighting and being taken care of in ways that, you know, motivate me to make the best of this. And, you know, the fact that I'm not depleted dropping to 135 and that I mean, I have this cut, but I don't have the 30-pound cut to make this happen. And just having a good practice every day. And even the practices that are hard because they have to be, are still something that gets added to the good and necessary things that need to happen in a training camp. So, but like I can decipher between it being because of a calorie depletion or deficit to, you know, that was just a red flag day and it needs to be hard, you know? So I feel great on all levels of the changes that come into being in Bellator. And I'm really excited to see where everything gets to go from here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, what is it? Do you have a goal? Like when you're training and you're in the gym and you're grinding day in and day out, do you have a specific like mindset of what you want to accomplish in Bellator? Or is it just kind of like, you know, let's have fun here, you know, joining the promotion?
I mean, MMA fighting is not all fun. It's, I don't ever go in and like, this is so fun. But I mean, there's a lot of fun parts about it, but the fun parts come after all the hard work. You know, so coming in to my practices every day, having the personal goals, but also knowing that my coaches have the goals for me set that they do, and me living up to those expectations and kind of getting the nod, like I did what I needed to do today. Everyone in the room agrees, and we're going to set back up for tomorrow. So that, you know, includes the hard work, that includes the drill work, that includes the just rest days as well, you know, just making sure that everything that I need to do has been done. So while I'm walking into the cage, the day that I fight, I can look back and say, I did everything I could for this moment. And that's really how every day works.
All right. Thank you very much, Kat. Appreciate your time.
Oh.
We'll be joined next by Ed Ruth. All right, we're now being joined by Ed Ruth. First question will go to Gareth Davies. All right, we'll try that again. First question will go to Jay Anderson.
Thanks very much. And Ed, you've probably had a little bit more time than you might have wanted between that Amosov loss and this fight, thanks to the pandemic. How frustrating was it kind of waiting to get back in and get back on the horse? And what did you take away from that last fight?
It wasn't frustrating at all. If anything, I felt I was happy with the time that I got just to kind of look over my thoughts, just to reflect on the match. And I've just had so much time just to kind of like bring this, to take everything into the gym and just kind of work on myself.
And speaking of the gym, I mean, the world is a very different place since that last fight, obviously, with the pandemic, lockdown, social distancing. So how did that change or impact your training?
If anything, I think it helped it a lot more because I feel like I get more one-on-one time with my coaches. The gym's is always open. I feel like we've always had a problem of having too many people in the gym. And when you're moving around and you're sparring, you're always tripping and falling over somebody. If you're doing jiu-jitsu, you're always invading somebody else's space. And the next thing you know, you're on top of another two guys. And I felt like now it's more focused on the people that you want in the gym, and you're just getting everything that you need.
Connor?
Hey, Ed, how you doing?
How you doing?
Oh, hey, how's it going? Sorry, I was like, I thought it was a question followed with that.
No, all good. I thought my mic wasn't working. But, for you, I know you have been on the card with, Davis before, also a former Penn State wrestler. And, now Bo Nichols kind of stealing a lot of headlines now, too. He's making that jump. I know former teammate of yours, Jimmy Lawson. Also, I think he's 2-1 now, too. What is it about that program, that Ninny Lion program that, makes all these guys make that jump to MMA?
Just some of those guys, they just have it. They have that it factor. They know that they can go out there and they can punch somebody in the face. And a lot of the guys on the Penn State team, they're just animals, man. They're go-getters. They're hard workers, and they understand that. And they know that they bring that work ethic over into MMA. They know that the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm. And, Taylor Johnson's a guy who, he's kind of a knockout artist, but you obviously, have that wrestling pedigree too. With this matchup, do you feel like this is kind of in your wheelhouse?
Definitely. We're both knockout artists, which is cool. And the fact that we both wrestle, that's awesome. But I've been doing the sport a little bit longer than he has, and I feel like I'll get him on the experience factor.
All right. Thanks, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gareth, are you there? Let's try that again.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can now. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Ed, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Very good indeed. How has lockdown been for you?
It has been very isolating, but other than that, it's been good. I can't really complain. All I've been doing is just trying to keep my mind busy.
And, a lot of us have learned things about ourselves in lockdown, kind of maybe deeper things. Have you, obviously, because everyone's had to have that pause that's been kind of pressed upon us. Are there things that have occurred to you, about your life during the last 6 months?
Oh man, it's just, I've taken up the guitar. I feel like, yeah, I felt, I was like, wow, I spent so much time just sitting around, just not really doing anything, not really trying to build a skill. And, somehow I settled on the guitar. I heard somebody playing the guitar one day, and I just picked it up and started doing it. And, it made me realize, I was like, wow, I'm more of a creative person than I thought. And I kind of started to look at my life in a little bit more creative ways.
And how good have you got, or what's are you prepared to play in front of people yet? Will you play the guitar after victories? Are you there yet?
I could play probably just like a solid 4 beats, but other than that, no, I'm not too good yet. I just started, so I'm about 2 months deep. I'm just learning the fretboard and everything, and learning my pentatonic scales and everything. So we're just taking it from there.
Is it something you're going to stay with, though?
Oh, of course. I love learning new things. Whenever I get latched onto something, it's hard for me to pull myself away. That was kind of what brought me into MMA. I started doing MMA, and I just couldn't pull myself away from it. I was like, wow, there's jiu-jitsu. Wow, there's Muay Thai. Wow, there's boxing. There's kickboxing. There's judo, and all this stuff is useful in the fight.
So music is like the development of another side of yourself, but I suppose we could say MMA is very creative as well, but physically,
Oh yeah, I see it both as the same thing. I feel like the more creatively you put everything together, the same thing with music. The more creatively you put these notes together, you bend this note, you you cleanly pick the strings. It's the same thing with MMA. If I cleanly throw my jabs or my sprawls, or if I'm doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu, I'm paying attention to my fundamentals, everything goes a lot smoother, a lot easier.
We'll go on to Steve.
All right, Ed, thank you for the time as always. And my question to start off was, it seems like Bellator has always invested in you from day one. I've told you before about how they promoted your blue chip athletic prospects coming in. And it seems like you get on a roll and then there's a setback, like with Neiman Gracie or Yaroslav Amosov. How frustrating is that for you, knowing that there are such high expectations, but sometimes these things don't go your way?
It just makes you kind of just come to terms with, it's reality. That's how it is. We make these plans, and, the plans, they go awry. And as much as we all want to live in a perfect world and we all speculate about our futures, we got to understand that there are going to be setbacks. And it's the same thing with even when you're trying to build a business. You think you're doing good, everything's going great. Next thing, a storm comes in and then it's flooding all your merchandise. You can't really prepare for those things.
Has that also been sort of a life lesson then with this pandemic, that these things are out of your control, and just like the outcome of a fight, sometimes it's not going to go your way and you just have to roll with it?
Yeah. And at that point, you just got to tell yourself, this is just a journey, and I just got to enjoy my journey. I can't always be happy or sad about the results. I just got to just live in the moment and just kind of chase after these experiences.
All right.
And be grateful for that.
The last one for me before I let you go is, you talked about how the training has changed in the gym, how there's less people there now, but is it good or bad for some of your teammates that they also have to go through this experience and they wonder, when am I going to get to fight? You're getting this opportunity here on Friday, but a lot of them have been waiting a long time for a fight too.
Yeah, it sucks, but I've waited a long time for this opportunity as well. And, but the only thing I could say that a lot of guys in our gym seem to do really well with kind of putting enough time into MMA, but also keeping other jobs on the side so they can keep money coming in.
All right. Well, hopefully you'll be making some big money on Friday. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Connor?
She's still there?
I already asked my questions. Thank you.
Sorry. We'll go to Zach.
Hi, Ed. Thanks for the time today.
No problem.
So the first question I want to ask is, after the first loss to Neiman Gracie, you did go on a very good 2-fight winning streak. And that shows that you learn from your losses, as all fighters do. So I want to ask, what things do you think were the best takeaways from the Amosov loss?
From the Amosov loss, I was like, I learned that there's wrestling that's applicable to MMA and there's wrestling that doesn't work at all, especially when you start changing like minor factors. With MMA, with wrestling, I always had shoes, socks, there was a whole singlet that you would wear. And when I go out there and I'm fighting, I realized that you could slip a lot more if you you can't really go for an ankle pick. A lot of your moves from wrestling is kind of eliminated MMA, just from how you stand up, just from the stand up alone. And I've learned that, there's more to being a complete fighter than just being good at, just being good at your disciplines. It's like, it's being good at putting the disciplines together and like knowing when to not do something and when to do something.
That makes a lot of sense. So I would assume in your training camp, are you working more of your striking more than your wrestling? Because you already know you have that wrestling down.
I honestly, I've been working a lot more on wrestling because I wanted to tie my striking and my wrestling together better. And I felt like in my earlier fights, I haven't been doing that just because when you go out there and like nobody knows how nervous a guy is, you don't even know how nervous you are yourself. And I realized that if I want to do this out in the cage, I got to start doing it at practice. So when I was in practice, I was trying to focus more on using my strikes to get to my wrestling rather than just relying solely on wrestling or solely on striking.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And last question I have, you coming from obviously your very accomplished wrestling background, those type of fighters seem to transition very, very well into MMA because of sort of the crossovers in between the two sports. So what would you say about your time in wrestling has made it a bit easier for you to cross over into MMA, like compared to other fighters, of course?
How has it made it easier?
Yes.
Definitely just because the whole world of MMA is very similar to wrestling. Just from like the weight cutting, the grind, it just brings a brotherhood, just a camaraderie around with you and your teammates, just because it's such a hard sport to do. And so is wrestling. Wrestling is just, you're with somebody. It's just you and another person testing your physical abilities against another person. You're imposing your will against this other person. It's that other person that determines whether you win or not. And I don't know if people really get how crazy that is. It's like you and someone else, and you both have expectations. You both have goals. You both have, and you're challenging each other in this cage, or you're challenging each other on the mat. And I feel like with wrestling and MMA, like everything is just so personal. It's so singular, it's like it's just me and it's just that guy, on a team. Any other team or any other sport or organization, it's just like you have a lot of people you rely on. But with MMA and wrestling, it's just yourself. And I feel like wrestling has prepared me so well for MMA because it's like it got me to rely mostly on myself, to think about myself, to get used to pushing myself, to get used to my own grinds, to make me cut my weight myself.
Go to Jay.
Hey, you know what? I'll ask a follow-up question, actually. I mean, there's been a lot going on in the world in the last little while, and I'm just wondering if you wanted to give your take on, the civil unrest in the States and everything that's been going on there.
Wow, man. I can't say I enjoy it. It's just everything is just such a crazy time. It's like I'm walking down the sidewalk and people are walking in the street, so they're not walking on the sidewalk next to you, or some people cross the street. It's like, honestly, I really don't know what to say about it. I'm just hoping that the quarantine and everything ends soon. Hopefully that there's a breakthrough or there's just a drop off, or the pandemic, the virus dies. I'm just looking forward to that. But I'm trying to stay optimistic.
All right, let's go to Kevin.
Hey, Ed, one of the big questions I wanted to ask you was, being slotted into the main event, how did you handle that? And also, you were one of the last cards that Bellator had a live audience. So, going into this fight, how does it feel going from a main event slot to being in the main card, but not in the main event?
Doesn't really bother me. Every time I step in the cage, it's still the same thing. I step in the cage, there's another guy across from there, and I have to beat him, and I always just attacked it the same way, whether I was prelims, main card, or just on the main card. I was just like, I just got to go in there, stick to the same game plan, just keep getting better. Eventually, I find myself back in that main spot again.
Are you looking to highlight a finish in this fight, or, do you want to go the distance and try to show everybody, hey, I can wrestle, stand up, jiu-jitsu, everything's in my repertoire?
Well, I've discovered, over in my experience with MMA, that it's better to end everything very early. But yeah, I do want to take it the distance. I do want everybody to see, everything that I've been working on. But if early stoppage is where it's at, I definitely want that early stoppage.
One another thing is, you Amasov fought recently in one of the past cards, and he's climbing up. Do you see yourself with the win and a couple of other wins rematching yourself with them?
I do, but it depends on which weight class we would do it at. I'm not sure if I feel too comfortable challenging him again down at 170 because I feel like I'm losing a lot of my power, a lot of my strength that I usually rely on when I'm practicing. So I think that maybe if he moves up or we find a catch weight, I definitely want to fight him again.
All right, Ed. Thank you so much, and hope you have an easy fight. All right.
Thanks. Me too.
All right. Thank you very much, Ed. We are all done, and we'll. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's take one more from Trevor Minden.
Shoot. I'm ready.
Hey, recently, Daniel Cormier, he talked about how his camp, it kind of was diminished with COVID, whether it was training partners or other factors. How do you feel this camp has been for this upcoming fight? Do you feel that COVID or, what's going on in the world has affected it at all, or do you feel at 100%?
I've gotten more reflection, more attention this camp. And that's what makes me feel way more comfortable going into this fight next time. Because I feel like a lot more that there was so much less people inside the gym because, they just couldn't be in there that, that my coaches had to focus solely on me or they were focused on someone else. But it was only like, just 5 other guys, but they can come right back to me.
Yeah. Another question I had, being so accomplished in wrestling, I heard Luke Thomas say the other day, like you're one of the greatest college wrestlers and all that you have accomplished. How do you take that into MMA? Do you after accomplishing so much in one sport, how do you keep the same level of motivation, for a future title in MMA?
This might be a weird answer, but honestly, it's curiosity. I was like, if I can do this in one sport, I was like, can I do this in another sport? Is the same underlying factors the same thing that will make me a champion in this sport that has made me a champion in wrestling? And I found it that is my curiosity is so hungry that I can't really turn it off. And then I find myself training harder, just doing anything that I can to get better. And it's like every time I feed my curiosity and my knowledge grows, then it's just like, I just feel so grateful for it that I just continue the process.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you very much, Ed. We will be joined shortly by Raymond Daniels.
Cool.
Raymond Daniels.
All right, we are now being joined by Raymond Daniels. We will get this started off with Steve Jewin. Your line is live.
All right, Raymond, thank you for the time as always. And my first question for you today is about your opponent, Peter Stanonik. He's only had 2 fights in the last 2 years, lost both of them decisively. Now, obviously, you can go out there and get a highlight reel win, and that would be satisfying. But is this as big of a challenge as you want on Friday?
For me, obviously the world has kind of been, shut down and stuff. So I'm looking to continue to push myself and continue to obviously elevate, my challengers and the people that I'm fighting. I think he's going to be a very challenging opponent. I don't think he's definitely any pushover just because somebody lost a match or two doesn't, define them as who they are as a fighter. But I am looking to take on bigger and badder, prey if that's what you're asking, because I do consider myself an elite athlete, and I want to go for the Bellator gold, which is Douglas Lima. So that is my goal. That is my target right now. So this is just another stepping stone in for me to get into that direction. I'm not overlooking him by any means. He has a great kickboxing record. He has lost his last couple of matches, but he has, I think, at least 9 MMA fights to my 3. So if you look at his experience in MMA, he actually has a lot more than I do.
That's true. And you're somebody who knows a lot about not being defined by a loss, because your MMA career didn't start out the way that you would have hoped it would. So you've been very resilient in that area, even though you were already a world champion in kickboxing. So with all that experience weighed in, those credentials in kickboxing and your renewed improvement in MMA, how far away are you from Douglas Lima if you keep winning?
I honestly don't feel that I'm that far away from Douglas Lima. I'm continuing to evolve as a person, as a fighter. So I don't honestly think that I'm too far away. I'm just, kind of fixing up a couple things with my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling. I've got Joe Murphy, who's helping with my jiu-jitsu. I've got an amazing coach in Mark Munoz. And now I'm with Training Lab with Juan Archuleta, TJ Dillashaw, and Coach Sam Calavita. So my cardio is absolutely amazing right now. So I don't think I'm honestly that far. I actually have something I would like to present to Bellator in the future is I am the Bellator kickboxing world champion, and I have that experience with me. Now I'm feeling at home here in the MMA world, but we're under the same umbrella. Most people are willing to try and go after something that somebody else has, meaning they'll go after another weight class title or a lower weight class title, but usually they don't want to risk what it is that they have. They just want to take something that belongs to somebody else. As far as me, I want to present a challenge to Douglas Lima. Well, I'm willing to risk my kickboxing world title versus his MMA title. They say steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. I'm willing to kind of test my mettle versus his mettle, and I think he's an amazing champion. I'm a huge fan of his, to be honest, if you want the truth. He's a family man, a man of Christ. He's a little bit crazy because he swims with sharks and stuff like that. I follow him on his IG and stuff, but I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to share in the octagon. So no disrespect to him, but he understands that he is the wizard. And I'm off to see the wizard. I don't want to have to go down the yellow brick road and see all these different people on the way. I want to go straight to seeing him, and challenging him for what it is that he owns right now.
Well, title versus title sounds like an amazing idea. But before I let you go, I want to touch on one thing you mentioned earlier, that the world has changed a lot since your last Bellator fight. And I know you've got an amazing team around you. You've already mentioned all of their names, but how has that changed the way that you train and prepare?
It's changed a few different things as far as the way I train, the way I prepare and stuff like that. Fortunately, I'm my own business owner, world champion karate in the city of Orange. So I have the keys to my own city, so to speak. So I have the ability to go in and train 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I train also over at Training Lab in Placentia with Mr. Calavita. And they actually have been doing a great job of making sure they're keeping all the athletes safe safe. They've been doing a weekly test with us, just to make sure that, we're doing COVID tests, we're doing temperature checks, we're doing all these different types of tests to make sure that our athletes are staying safe. And we're doing them several times a week to make sure that we can still train and we can still compete to the best of our ability. So, there has been, some extra hoops to jump through, but as with life, you get thrown different roadblocks and challenges, and it's our job to try and overcome those. And we have done that together as a team.
All right, next question from Giancarlo.
Hi, Raymond. Just brought up there also, your first transition to MMA, you came out on the losing end in 2008, but now you're on back-to-back wins in Bellator. Just what was something you took away from your first attempt in MMA that has really helped you in the second attempt in Bellator?
I think just the humanizing experience. I always try and tell fighters that are coming up to kind of never believe your own hype. Some people get carried away in it. You see all these fighters, they start to talk about this, even start to talk about themselves in different person, third person, or whatever the case is. But don't believe your own hype. When I was younger, I was kind of caught up in believing my own hype, so to speak. I was an undefeated kickboxer. I was knocking people out with stuff that people have never seen before. So I was kind of like, yeah, I'm the man. As a young man, that's what you believe. You believe that you're untouchable. And when I went into that first experience, I had zero training in wrestling, zero training in jiu-jitsu. Honestly, didn't have any Muay Thai training. I was just a sport martial arts competitor that enjoyed competing, and it didn't matter the arena. I always felt that if you are a fighter, somebody should be able to tell you the rule set, and you should be able to go and compete against the best of the best in that rule set. And that was a rude awakening for me as a young man, a very humbling experience in life, but one I would never take back, to be honest, because it opened my eyes to different things. Some people look at oh, you lost here or you lost there. It's like, oh, you got beat. But for me, I look at them as learning experiences, opportunities for me to improve myself as a person, myself as a fighter. So yes, that didn't go my way. But now if you look at the team that I have that surrounded me, because I had that experience in life, now I'm able to look back, reflect on that, make the necessary corrections that I need. And now I'm coming out and giving people highlights in MMA now at 40 years old that not even 20 or 30-year-olds can do. That's just from me learning from earlier life experiences and taking those experiences and continuing to evolve as a mixed martial artist.
And final question for me, your last fight was in January, so you've had some time off now, especially now with this shutdown. So was there an area of your game that you were able to really improve on and take advantage of this time off?
A lot of things kind of got shut down and stuff like that, but I've continued to evolve with my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, continuing to make myself more of an all-around fighter. I've had the great opportunity of training with some amazing mixed martial artists. I've trained with GSP, Woodley, Rory, Sean Strickland, Ryan Hall. So I've been able to train with, some of these different guys with so many different levels. So I know that where I am with my stand-up fighting is I'm really strong. But I needed to improve on my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu. And that's what I've been working on, because anybody in MMA that tells you that they're going to try and stand up and fight with me, that is always a good thought or something good to say. But then I think once they get in there and they start moving around with me, they'll turn to a wrestler or to a jiu-jitsu artist really quickly. So I know that not anybody in the MMA world will want, I know they consider a lot of the guys like, oh, this guy's the best stand-up guy, this guy's the best this, but they haven't, now I'm here in MMA. So I think that I bring a different precedence to the MMA arena, because not only my kickboxing experience, but people don't recognize my sport karate experience. And that's what makes the biggest difference. So I've improved in those areas, though, but in my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling, a whole lot with Mark Munoz and Joe Murphy.
All right, next question, Rick Sanchez.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. My question is, with your fight coming up this Friday, how mentally prepared are you to be back in now in the Bellator cage? And now, right now, what's going on with this pandemic?
That's an awesome question. I mean, as far as there's a lot of different things going on in the life and are in the world. So I think it's giving people an opportunity to spend time with their family, to enjoy their loved ones, but it's also put a reality check. We've lost a lot of great people. I'll just even say superheroes. We lost the Black Mamba, we lost the Black Panther. So for me, I look at this as a great opportunity to go out and to be able to perform and become that superhero kind of for the public. I get to fight. I'm honored to be able to fight on 9/11 when it's a day in our history where we've, we lost a lot of good people, to acts of violence. And there's a lot of, say violence going on in the world right now because of different, things, different beliefs, different, bigotries that people feel. So I think it's awesome to have the opportunity to go out and to, excuse me. Don't worry, I'm COVID free. Doesn't come through I hope it doesn't come through the camera now. But there's a lot of different, different things that are going on in the world. And so for me to, for Bellator and Paramount Network to give us the opportunity and the platform to go out and to inspire people or to relate to people, or, and that's what I look at it as what I do. That's why I go out and I perform the way I perform. That's why I fight the way that I fight, is to go out and to be able to inspire people that, so my mind is always focused. I'm always ready to fight world-class athletes. I do it on a daily basis. I don't think it'll make it any different. But like I said, I'm honored to be able to fight on 9/11.
Jay?
Thanks very much. And Raymond, you talked about age and the wisdom you've acquired. In a sense, do you feel like a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to MMA? And does that mean you might be able to carry on a little bit longer into your 40s than perhaps otherwise?
Yeah, no, that's an awesome question. A lot of people ask me, they're like, okay, man, you're like, even when I'm going to get I had to do extra medical stuff this time, with the doctors and stuff because I'm 40. So a lot of people are like, oh, how much longer are you going to do this? The beautiful thing is that I come from a different background than the typical MMA person. I'm not the typical MMA athlete. Obviously, even with the way I fight is not typically like an MMA fighter, say, would fight. So I come from a sport martial arts background, come from as a martial artist. Martial arts is kind of like the fountain of youth. That's what I call it. I have a martial arts program in the city of Orange called World Champion Karate. I'm dealing and teaching future generations. So that keeps me very, very young and very energetic because I'm working with tomorrow's future, or whatever you want to call it, or however you want to look at that. So for me, yes, I guess you would say I'm a late bloomer, but I always arrive on time. I like to kind of, dominate whatever field it is that I come to. If you look at it, I've always risen to the top in every organization that I've ever competed in, from back on my sport karate days on NBL and NASCA to when I competed in the Chuck Norris League. My team went to #1. I was the MVP. We won the championship. When I was fought in Glory, I became the #1 fighter and fought for the title. Came short because I got my eye cut. Bellator kickboxing. I climbed the ladder in that, became the Bellator kickboxing champion, and now I've arrived in MMA. I'm 40, but you won't meet a 20 or a 30-year-old that it will be faster than I am. So even though, say, these guys are younger than me, because of my experience from where I come from, I've never met. And this comes from even competing and sparring against some of the top guys like GSP, Woodley, Rory, all these guys. I'm always even faster than all of them. Any of the young, a couple of my sparring partners were in their 20s, and I'm still 10 times faster than they are. And I think it's just from my background. So yes, late bloomer, but late to the party. But I'm here, and I'm bringing a whole new dynamic to the game.
Well, glad to see you here. One more for me. The other factor that you've got is a partner, a wife who also fights as well. How important is Colby as a sounding board, as support for you in competing?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how Yeah, we just celebrated our first anniversary on the 24th. This year was quarantine, so we weren't able to go out and celebrate like we wanted to. So a year married now, but it's amazing having a life partner that shares in my passion, because she understands, like, even though it's our anniversary, we couldn't go out and celebrate it like we wanted to because she knows that I had this fight coming up, so I can't. She knows that I'm not able to break my diet. She's there for me to cook me breakfast, to help me with my laundry, to help me get my supplements and my pads and everything together. So I think the reason why people are able to see me blossom like this is a huge part to her. I've never been so well balanced in life, as far as physically, thanks to Training Lab and Coach Cal. Spiritually, Colby's reintroduced my relationship with God, emotionally, in my love life. It's amazing. So I think that everybody is able to actually see me truly balanced and come out there and compete. And when your mind, body, and your soul are all one, I think that's when people are able to see things like the 720 punch and see me come out and compete, because I am so well balanced, and that balance has come from her.
All right, our last question comes from Zach Hartman.
Hi, Raymond. Thanks for the time today.
No problem.
So you mentioned earlier that you have your eyes on Douglas Lima and the welterweight strap, and that's obviously understandable. Now, you two have a common opponent, as you fought Michael Venom Page in kickboxing, and he fought him in MMA. So as someone who's watched that fight, I'm sure, and someone who has the kickboxing pedigree probably higher than Michael Venom Page, what do you think that he did wrong that you could do better in terms of technical kickboxing when fighting Douglas Lima?
Oh, that's an amazing question. I was honestly looking forward to seeing that fight, and I think Mike made a mistake, and that's what got him caught. I think Mike and I have different styles, even though we look similar. People think that we look at, but the one of the key factors that we have is because we come from a similar background. If you had a superpower, our superpower would be to control time and space. So we can control time and space better than everybody. So that's why when people see us and when they fight, and they're like, "Oh, why does this guy look so bad?" It's because we can control time and space, and that other person doesn't understand that. I think where Mike, I think he had Lima hurt. And Mike's always been a bit of a prankster or jokester when he fights and when he competes and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of hurt him even in the past fighting, where he's playing around instead of just dominating somebody or finishing somebody off. I think he hurt Lima, and he went to kind of play and clown around, when you have to realize the caliber of opponent that you have across from you. At least this is me being the fly on the wall outside looking in, realizing the caliber of opponent that you have in front of you, when if he would have stuck to his basics, he would have almost, because he staggered Lima, I think he would have been able to finish him, but he kind of went to playing around a little bit, and that's what ended up getting him caught with the kick to the leg, and then he made the mistake of getting up, panicking, and getting up and got caught with a beautiful uppercut. I think that's where he really made the mistake. Mike and I are two completely different fighters. If you look at our offense, you look at our defense, you look at our skill set as far as what techniques we throw and the volume that we put out, I think it would be an entirely a different fight. And I think Lima is probably one of the best stand-up fighters, all around welterweights in the world. Whether people want to give him the credit where it's due or not, he's an awesome, amazing stand-up fighter. And I think like I said, he's one of the best, and he's kind of ran through the entire division, but now I'm here in the division, and I'm a different animal when it comes to that. So I would love the opportunity to go out and test my skill set. And that's, like I said, no disrespect towards him or towards Mike. I think they're both amazing athletes. I would love to see that fight again, see Mike grow, because that's the first opportunity that someone's ever put him back where he's had to evolve and had to grow as a person, as a fighter. And I think Mike's an amazing athlete. I think Lima's an amazing champion. Like I said, he was considered the best stand-up artist in MMA, but now you have to realize that I am here in MMA, not just in the kickboxing world anymore.
All right, and thank you very much. With that, we will end things with Raymond, and we will be back with Juan Archuleta next. All right. We are now being joined by Juan Archuleta. First question goes to John Paul.
Hi, Juan. How are you?
Good, John. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for asking. Well, obviously, you're fighting for the title on Saturday night. Just tell everybody just what it's like for this opportunity to get a shot to go after Bellator Gold.
I mean, yeah, it's everyone's dream in MMA to fight for a world title. So obviously, it's a dream come true.
And I want to ask you about TJ Dillashaw. I know he's been very helpful to you in the past. Has he helped you prepare for this fight, and will he be in your corner like he has been for the past?
Well, yeah, he's my teammate, and we've known each other for quite some years now, and we've been able to help each other throughout each other's camps. So, yeah, of course, he's been helping me out. There's no reason why he wouldn't be, and we've just been getting better together, and yes, he'll be in my corner.
And then just the final thing for me, you fought at featherweight for a big chunk of your career there. What's it like cutting down this extra 10 pounds to make the bantamweight limit?
Well, I think I fought more at my bantamweight division than I had at 145. But yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity to keep growing and setting yourself different in the sport of MMA. I fight at 145, 155, 135. It doesn't matter. I just want the best opponent out there at the time and put on a great performance for fans.
Next question goes to Gareth Davies.
Hi, Juan. Good evening. How are you from London?
What's up, brother? I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm very well. You're looking very lean and mean, I must say. And you got that brilliant hat on as usual. Can I ask you, I get the sense with you, that at bantamweight, you're actually sharper, you're meaner, you're moodier. And yeah, exactly. And that it suits you to go down in that weight.
Yeah, I mean, I love every challenge that comes up. 135 is quite a challenge. Everything's a lot more fine print. You have to be a lot more strict, a lot more rigorous with your training. You have to be precise on your diet. And so everything is like zoned in. You're more in tune with your body. I mean, I wish everyone could experience what I'm going through just because overall well-being, it brings spirituality, something different in you. And sometimes you're fasting and you go to these training camps fasting, and it brings your focus in, and like just everything about it is a different aura around it. And I love it. I love the challenge, and it's brought back a new fire in me.
Lovely. Wow. Inspirational words. You're a quotes machine today. The other thing about you is, and you and I have had, very long conversations. You've had a really long life journey to this point as well. You've only, in your senior fighting career, you've only lost to Patricio, and that was over 5 rounds, wasn't it? So, in a terrific fight. So, I'm trying to talk about your whole journey in life here. And I want you to answer in that way what it really means. I know it's a dream come true, but you have fought so hard in your life. And I know this from talking to you. You have fought so hard in your life to get to this point, and hold the gold.
Yeah, I mean, going through this journey in life is crazy, man. You go through the highest highs, you go through the lowest lows. You're faced with adversity, but through every low in my life, I've always had great success after, whether that's spending time in jail, in prison, and then, wondering how'd you end up here, and then going on different journey, traveling again, and I mean, shoot, not even seeing a tree in a year, and then going on these different journeys, and you're able to see different countries, and then, having great success through that, and having a family, and going through, financial struggle, and then boom, all of a sudden you have financial gain, fighting for a world title, you lose it. And then here I am again fighting for a world title, which I know in my heart this time is going to be different. The outcome's going to be different. And for me, like experiencing that and going through that type of journey, like you appreciate it more. You're able to understand what people that haven't gone through this journey or haven't had the opportunity to fight for a world title have experienced. Hence my teammate Cub Swanson. Like
I can't say I don't know what it's like for him as a fighter, because I've been blessed with better opportunities in my MMA career than he has, and he's had better runs than me in MMA. He's been able to stack up huge knockouts and be on a huge fight win streak and never get that opportunity. And for me, coming off a loss, then coming off a good win, and then I'm right back in the title mix. That's true belief in an organization, and me believing in an organization that has my back, and to give me this opportunity to step in, even though I haven't fought at this weight class in a year, but they believe in me because they've shown that I've fought at different weight classes. I'm a competitor. I'm one of the best guys in their organizations that they had at any weight class I could fight, and show that. And so to me, it shows appreciation from the organization that makes me want to go out there Saturday night and do my damnedest to win and be a representative of Bellator MMA, so I could bring that back to Spain and bring it back for the Spanish people, because that's my true calling in this sport, is bringing MMA, a big organization like Bellator, into MMA, and defending a world title there is going to be priceless.
The words of a champion, and you sound completely on point. It's a pleasure to see you, even though you can't see us, and an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thanks, Juan. Go get the job done, brother.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Steve?
All right, Juan, thank you for the time as always. And your previous title opportunity has already been mentioned by several people. So I want to get your thoughts how you compare Patrick Mix to Patricio Pitbull in their relative skill sets going into this title fight.
Yeah, I mean, with Patricio Pitbull, you have an all-around awesome MMA fighter. He's one of the best in the organization. He's not only a knockout artist, but he's a submission artist. He's great at defending takedowns. He's great at getting takedowns. He's great at establishing range and being a counterattacker and being first on the attack and being an aggressive attacker. And so you have all these highlight reels of Patricio that you could see in a fighter, and it makes it for a lot dangerous of a fight. A guy like Patchy Mix, whose confidence level is at all-time high right now. He's believes in himself more than he could ever right now. He's, beat guys like Bendejas, guys like the guy in Japan. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Mizugaki. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but he's beaten some good guys starting off young in his MMA career. And for a guy like that to be fighting and seeing his specialty, but not really seeing too much development on his feet and the nervousness he has on his feet, or if he could go the 5 rounds of a guy constantly in your face, I see some holes there that I'm hopefully able to exploit come that night. And I see him very good at one thing, and that's jiu-jitsu. And, that's going to be his strength. And but me, I've grew up wrestling my whole life. I'm a scrambler wrestler. I get in those type of mixes all the time. And I'm going to exploit some of his weaknesses he has come Saturday night.
Yeah, I think Yuki Matoya was the fighter you were thinking of.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, that's no
Yuki.
Problem. But as far as you talked about aggression and how Patricio is great at establishing that range and being the first to strike, do you feel like that in itself, that loss was a teaching experience that now in this fight with Mix, you're going to be the first to draw the trigger and fire?
Absolutely. I mean, coming off my first loss that I've ever had in my career, it made me realize that I was fighting to not lose. I was fighting to just trying to secure an undefeated record, which is insane. It gave me a lackluster in my performance. And going into that Pitbull fight, it was the same thing. I was fighting to not lose and trying to just hurry up and end the fight, and that's where I messed up in the fight. That's where where my lackluster of performance came from, was like fighting to not lose. Instead, this fight, I've already experienced that, and I've been kicking myself in the ass for that, for not going out there and performing. And now, after a loss, I've grown from it. I've adapted to it. I've understand it, and I understand why I lost. And so I'm going to do everything in my ability just to go out there and perform. I don't care about the win or loss. I'd love to have the world title. There's a bunch of great prizes that come after. But if I don't perform, then I'm going to lose. I already know that. So if I go out there and I perform and do everything in my ability to perform, I know that the win and loss is going to take care of itself.
All right. Well, we look forward to a great performance Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question goes to Connor Northrup.
Hey, Juan, how you doing today?
Good, Connor. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for asking.
Nice.
One thing I just want to talk to you about, too, is I know you were a part of the Kingdom show, and that show's obviously kind of been back on Netflix, too. I mean, what's it been like kind of seeing the resurgence of that during this time where, just days away from the title?
Oh, we put a lot of hard work, and we like Joe Stevenson and I to make the show as authentic as possible, where people could truly relate to it. Trying to give our life stories and being able to see our life stories play out in some of the scenes and Kingdom was a blessing. And then to be part of it, and I fight out of Navy Street to this day. That's why you'll hear them say fighting out of Navy Street, Venice Beach, California. A crazy story was after the first season, I met the writer of the show. His name's Byron Belasco. Joe Stevenson introduced me to him. He's like, hey, this is my fighter, da-da-da. He's like, oh, I know you from somewhere. And I was like, oh, I don't think we have ever met. He's like, no, but I know you. And then the next day he shows me a video, and it was my first fight. He's like, dude, this was the first MMA fight I've ever been to. And I watched your first fight. And he's like, it gave me so much inspiration on what I want a fight scene to look like, because I got dropped in the first 30 seconds. He was sitting in between my family. They're just going crazy because they're fight fanatics and are just combat fanatics in general, and he got the whole every different type of feeling that he wanted to feel from a crowd, from a fight, and he was like, dude, it was awesome. And I was like, well, thanks, man, I appreciate it. And then Joe Stevenson, man of great ideas, he said, hey, I have an idea, like, why doesn't, if it's okay with you, let Juan fight out of Navy Street the rest of his career? He's like, dude, would you do that? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I don't mind fighting out of Navy Street. I would love to. And then the next season and the season after, he let me, actually wrote me a character in the show. And when Joe Stevenson was fighting on The Ultimate Fighter, I stepped in for the MMA consultant on the show. So it was an awesome experience. And then I was driving between that and The Ultimate Fighter and back and forth. And so, dealing with the in-betweens. And it was just an awesome opportunity to have. And I was truly blessed to go through that experience.
Well, hopefully they bring that show back, and then you can have the title on the show.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why, like, at the end, they like tell Ryan, like, they're like, we're either going to go to Bellator or UFC, because I was on that fence. And so they wanted to bring that reality into the show and talk more about the UFC and Bellator as a guy that I fought for King of the Cage, and the promotion was called King Beast. And you have these champions coming up out of King Beast that made their claim in the local scene. And now we're ready to step up to, a worldwide production like Bellator or UFC. And obviously I went the Bellator route. So it was cool to see that, transpire and happen.
Thanks, Juan.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next question, Harry Mack.
Hey, Juan, thank you for your time.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Harry.
Absolutely. So you haven't been able to fight since January, obviously because of circumstances out of your control. So other than training, how have you been staying busy?
Training. After training, we go back to more training. No, just hanging out with the family. I was actually getting ready for a bow hunt. It would have been September 3rd to the 18th, but the Apache Reservation and the Apache tribals of San Carlos had to shut down their hunting season because of the COVID situation. So I was getting ready, practicing a lot with TJ in our backyard, like shooting some 3D elk with our bows, and just spending family time, working out with Josh Rosen, putting on muscle, and then taking it back down and taking it, trying to bring it back into 135. So got to experience some different training partners, which was nice. And, experience training with Brian Ortega, got my jiu-jitsu game a lot more stronger, as well as Felipe Del Monica. So it's been an awesome journey.
Awesome. So other than your fight with Pitbull, this is actually the only time in your pro career that you've been the betting underdog going into a fight. So is that something that you're aware of, or you put any stock into going into a fight?
No, that's news to me. So if you're out there, you throw some good money on me, and you're gonna come out like a bandit. So.
There you go. And I guess just my last question, just to follow up on Connor's last question there a little bit, where you were talking about Kingdom and kind of making that decision between Bellator and the UFC. What was it that really made you choose Bellator or drew you towards Bellator?
You know what? It was just like, I believed at the time Bellator was a rising promotion, with Scott Coker and wanting to get the best talent out there. And, it's just another step in the journey. Your MMA career, you could prolong it as long as the athlete wants. And so with Bellator, I seen it as a next step for me. I wanted to be a champion within Bellator. I wanted to represent Bellator and the things they had going. They had a lot of hype behind them when I was coming out as a free agent. And UFC's always going to be there, and you're experiencing it with Michael Chandler right now. Like, he has opportunity, and Bellator's given me a lot of opportunity, and they gave him a lot of opportunity. They gave him a platform. Same thing with Eddie Alvarez. They gave him a platform. And so just like they use me as a platform and use me as a character for their promotion, you got to take the good with Bellator. And use the Bellator platform and try to become a household name.
Kevin?
Hey, Juan, coming into this fight, the last time you fought in the bantamweight division was almost a year ago. When Bellator officially came back, they came back with Bandejas versus Pettis. Bandejas, who you beat. Pettis winning the fight, he's lurking in the corner. Everyone thought, he might be next for the title picture. Do you have any words or are you looking out for Sergio Pettis? Do you know he's next if you win the title?
Well, I think Scott Coker said if Horiguchi is ready to go, he's going to obviously have the first rights to a title fight, which is respectable and honorable for whoever wins the title to take, because he relinquished it. He didn't hold up the division. So if Horiguchi's ready, he stakes claim to the first and foremost title fight. But if he's not, Sergio Pettis was originally who I wanted to fight for this. I thought was going to be a bigger draw for this fight, for this championship. But, I'm not a promoter. I'm not a matchmaker. And so obviously they went with Patchy Mix and myself, because it could have been Patchy Mix and Sergio Pettis as well. And me left to fight Bandejas again or someone else, because they've been signing a lot of the 135ers. So, I do see him as the next title fight contention if Horiguchi is not ready.
Another question is, going into this fight, are you looking into stopping Patchy Mix's ground game and keep the fight standing, or do you welcome him to the ground?
At this time right now, I'm a true rounded MMA fighter, and I'll go wherever this fight takes me, whether it be on the ground, whether it be standing. That's the difference about me as a fighter. I'm well-rounded. I'm able to, as you can see when I fought Pitbull, I'm able to stand and bang and trade. I'm able to, as you've seen me fight Corrales, outpoint someone. Or, when I fought who was the guy? William Joplin, take it to the ground and do ground and pound. Like, I'm a well-rounded MMA fighter. I'm not scared of any of my talents that I have, and I'm 100% ready for wherever this fight goes.
All right, our last question goes to Rick Sanchez. Your line is live.
Hello.
What's up?
Question in Spanish. Tú dijiste una vez, tú que has traído la peleas de artes marciales allá en España. ¿Cómo sientes para las personas ahí en España que tú eres la campeón para la gente? Ahí.
Lo siento, mi español es muy mal, and I need to practice it more. So I need.
Okay, I'll say in English.
Okay.
You said to bring the fights in Spain. How does it feel like for people in Spain to look at you as a role model, as the people's champion over there?
Yeah, I've been going out there and been practicing my Spanish, and it takes me a while to adapt to it, just like fighting. And so going out there, representing Bellator and running clinics and seminars for them to understand MMA has been a journey and has been awesome. I've been welcomed out there as a brother in Spain, and it's awesome. I know if I win this title, when I win this title, and I'm going to bring it to Spain, and I'm going to defend it. And that's what we're looking forward to do, and give them opportunity, give them praise, and have the next up-and-comers in Spain to show that the Spanish people are fighters, the Spanish people are conquistadors still at heart, and they just need opportunity. They need the chance to prove that, just like the Irish got to prove their stake. And as soon as I bring this title home and bring it to Spain and bring a Bellator event out there, people are going to see why the Spanish are conquistadors, why they're the real fighters, and it's going to come very soon. This fight's more than me. It's for the Spanish people.
All right, thank you very much, Juan. We'll be joined shortly by Liz Carmouche. All right, we're now being joined by Liz Carmouche. First question goes to Steve Juen.
All right, Liz, thank you for the time today. And you've been ready for this fight for a while now. You were expected to fight back in May before the whole pandemic situation changed the landscape. So how's the preparation been for you having this much extra time?
It's been easy in a lot of ways and difficult at the same time. California had the restrictions where everything shut down. We weren't allowed to do gyms. We're just now getting back to 10% capacity. So it was a lot of trying to move things in my house, have my wife hold pads, make her my drilling partner, make her just have to endure all the chaos while simultaneously trying to push things around my garage and make things there. So for a while, that's what I was doing, but I was still, weight was good, cardio and conditioning was good, which is really important. And then since then, I've been able to find partners that are willing to and able to get in there. So like you said, I'm ready for the fight because I've been doing this. I had my 3-month camp, and a few weeks before it got canceled, took 2 weeks off, and then jumped right into another fight camp. So I've been ready for months and just sharpening everything up, getting ready for this fight.
And you also had a change of opponent during that time from Mandy Baum to Deanna Bennett. So has that changed up your game plan for the fight at all?
Of course, yeah, things are a little bit different for this. I mean, the great thing is I was already in fight mode. I was already in fight camp, so it's just little adjustments that have to be made. So little things had to be tweaked, but definitely ready for this fight.
And how big of a showcase do you feel this is going to be for you on Saturday night, getting to go out here and make that Bellator impression on so many viewers on Paramount and DAZN?
It's a huge deal. One, this is my debut in Bellator. So I want to go out there and I want to make a big boom. And then on top of that, having a platform like the Paramount Network to be able to do that is just going to skyrocket what I believe to be the next chapter of my career and really get my name out there and be able to do that with the Bellator banner.
All right. We look forward to that fight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next question comes from Jay Anderson. The line is live.
Thanks very much. And first of all, Liz, welcome back. Welcome to Bellator. The circumstances of your release from the UFC, being asked to fight at 145 and everything that went along with it, how shocked were you at how all that played out?
In some ways shocked, in other ways not at all. When the new ownership took over, there was just a lot of changes that were really weird to me and that just didn't really make sense, and people getting opportunities for fights that a lot of people felt like they didn't deserve it. So those kind of things just made it really questionable for who's actually going to be able to stay in the organization. And then after my fight with Valentina, I kept asking her fights, saying that I'm ready. And we get like, yeah, don't worry, you'll have something, but not really getting phone calls back. Weird to me that I had opportunities where I was injured and I was told I had to take the fight or I'd be blacklisted. And then other girls could say no to me at every opportunity and every turn. was another thing that was like, okay, well, that's not really right. So in some sense, really surprised that it happened because I was out doing a media tour for them and doing PR to the hospital when I got word. But in another sense, not really surprised because the dynamics and the way that the organization is being run had changed a lot since I started off with them.
And obviously now you've got a fresh start, a new opponent here as well, not who you were expecting when you were originally scheduled to fight back in May. Now it's Deanna Bennett. She told us earlier this week she's expecting a war for this fight. What has the adjustment been like switching from Mandy Baum to Deanna, and what are you expecting?
I'm expecting the same. It's two veterans going in there. It's not like she's a slouch. It's not a hand-me fight by any means. This is another experienced veteran that's been fighting just as long as I have with just as much experience. So we're going to go on there and put on a show as two veterans would that know what they're doing. And that to me is really exciting. To be my debut fight is being somebody who, this is not a new platform. They've been in the limelight. This isn't anything new to them. It means we can go out there and really demonstrate what we're capable of doing and make our debut really rock the house. And so I'm looking forward to that. And as far as tweaks and turns, I'm always prepared for any opponent. And I work on being the best version of me, not necessarily working on what their strengths and weaknesses are. So once we get into fight camp, it's just making those little tweaks for that particular opponent. So this isn't any different.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Kevin Varghese.
Hey, Liz. One of the key things that has been happening this week, this past couple of weeks was, the cross promotion between the UFC and Bellator. And obviously you fought Valentina Shevchenko, and, the current champion for Bellator is McFarlane. How do you think personally they would match up? And then how do you think you would match up with the Bellator champ?
I was the first person that welcomed Alima into the gym. I signed her up there. I was her kind of welcoming her, showing her the ropes, doing all of her intros. So I've been there since day one. So I'm well versed, and we have both said since the beginning that no matter what we compete in, whether it's jiu-jitsu, which we've been in jiu-jitsu tournaments with the potential to compete against each other, whatever happens to be, that we'll go out there and give everything we have because we know it's against two friends. That, yeah, we can punch each other in the face. We've been doing that since day one, hurting each other. And if that's how we built our friendship, this isn't going to be any different. And as far as matchups, I know our strengths and weaknesses. So I know it'll be a great opportunity for both of us, particularly me coming into this new platform. And as far as a cross promotion, I think that Alima, if she fought Valentina, she has this weird style that most people aren't ready for when it comes to unorthodox striking standing. And Valentina doesn't do really well with super unorthodox people. And then on the ground, Alima's substantial. I mean, all of her finishes predominantly come from her ground game. So anybody matched up that doesn't really finish people strongly on the ground is going to have a hard time against Alima.
All right. One of the key things is you're one of the veterans of the sport. You've been here. You fought the best of the best. Looking at the new chapter in your career in Bellator, what do you have to say? Like, what words do you have to give to your future opponents?
That I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to put on a show and show that this isn't like I'm closing one door and that's the end of my career. This is a new chapter. This is a new way for me to express myself, a new way for me to start fresh and to build a whole new style and to go out there and just finish girl after girl. And that's what I'm looking to do. Is I'm looking to clean house in the division to work my way up to the title and take that title.
All right. Thank you, Liz. I'm looking forward to seeing that new chapter start off.
Thank you.
We'll go to Connor Northrup.
Hey, Liz. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. One thing I just want to know is, just from going from the UFC to now, I mean, just how refreshing has this experience been, especially during a time where it's kind of very chaotic?
It's refreshing if you just to be booked for a fight. I'm so happy about that, having the last fight be canceled. And when I felt like I was just almost there and I was just about to grasp it. And then you also take into account Bellator, that a lot of the people that I knew from Strikeforce transferred over to Bellator when they didn't incorporate into the UFC. So it's reuniting with people that I know really well. And then also coordinating Lima for fights, I got to know the staff as well. So it's been really cool because when you meet them that way, there's no pressure on you for doing media, for doing anything. You just get to meet people and get to know them behind the stage and get to know them behind the curtain. And now I get to fight for them. And I'm just really excited to do that.
Yeah. How pleased are you with the way everything kind of turned out too? Because I know we've kind of already talked about, the previous fight that you were supposed to have, but that was also going to be in California too. That would have been, kind of awesome to make that debut there. What was that kind of like, just being here now?
I actually like getting away for fights more than anything. Under normal circumstances, I like going to a new spot to uncover after my fight everything it has, whether that's museums. I'm a huge foodie, so discovering all the food that they have. And that's what I really like, is exploring the new city, getting to experience a new culture. So I like to get out of California as much as I can for fights. I like traveling the world. I like seeing new places and meeting new people. And so for me to be stuck in California, I'm like, I'm here all the time. I already venture out and try all these new things. I want to do something different. But of course, under these circumstances, we don't really have that opportunity. But again, I get to travel, and I like traveling, even if that means I'm stuck in a hotel.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
All right. Last question comes from Rick Sanchez.
Liz, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. How does it feel to now get your first fight in the Bellator banner, and now you're eager to go back into the cage and get that win?
I'm super eager and excited for it. It's, after the last fight, got cut really close to being right at the threshold of being able to fight, to now it's actually here and I'm in fight week. I'm really excited, especially to be doing with Bellator.
All right. Thank you very much, Liz.
Thank you.
We'll be back shortly with Jon Fitch. All right, we're now being joined by Jon Fitch. We will go to, you can if you want.
All right.
We'll go to Jay Anderson for the first question.
Thanks very much. And Jon, welcome back. I think there might be some surprise in even seeing you back, if I'm being honest. I mean, you said not too long ago that MMA is not a sport anymore. Sounded like you wanted either more money or a title shot, or at least a title eliminator to get you back in. So what was the deciding factor in taking the fight against Neiman?
I would just like it to operate as a sport, No other sport in the world, promoters control the title and exclusive contracts. I would like that to change. But regardless of that, me coming back, has a lot to do with the situation of the lockdown and COVID right now. I'm in a position where I'm healthy and I enjoy challenges. The name Neiman Gracie came up. The idea of fighting a Gracie was a big challenge. Neiman's a super tough guy. It's going to be a great fight. But there's a lot of people out there at home who are trapped inside. They don't have a lot to do. And there's a lot going on. A lot of people are stressed out. A lot of people are hurting. I thought it would be a good thing to come out and distract them, take away from some of that pain, and give them 15 minutes of carnage between me and Neiman Gracie to help them escape from all the madness right now.
You spent a lot of time campaigning to make MMA a better sport, on top of having a fantastic career in the cage. When all is said and done, which would you rather be remembered for? I mean, your in-cage accomplishments, or, what you've done on the outside?
Oh, man. I haven't thought a lot about it because I'm still working. I'm still planning on doing things even outside of the cage, taking different strategies towards helping fighters. Moving forward, once I am fully retired, I've got some plans on, hopefully helping fighters to monetize themselves better and, do some of what the promoters maybe aren't doing for them right now.
Last one for me. You are a dad now. How much does that factor in on your decision-making process when it comes to continuing your career?
You know, the extra money from another fight is nice, but I think it's good to show your kids that you have interest and you can work hard and you set goals, let them see you struggle through adversity. I think it's good for kids to see it. I think even if I'm, you know, making myself fix something at home or build something at home or do something at home, I want them to see me do the work because they need to understand that if you put yourself into something, you know, things break down, things fall apart, but you don't quit. You just keep doing it. Whether you're training for a fight, you're training for a title, you're trying to do something with a career, or you're just building a stupid shelf.
Steve?
All right, Jon, thank you for the time as always. And, you know, it's been a very volatile year in the markets with all the pandemic lockdowns and the reactions that investors have had. So how's your own portfolio doing with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and the like?
Yeah, Bitcoin, you know, staying at 10,000 or above is a good thing. That gives a little extra security. I'm one of the guys who hold, you know, I bought in a long time ago and I'm sitting on some stuff. It's emergency funds if I need it. You know, and the stocks and other stuff that I've had, it's actually the stock market's doing pretty good, surprisingly, through all this. You know, they keep printing more money, so I don't know how long that's going to last. But it seems like the stock market's going to continue to do well because people that have money keep putting more money into it. So for right now, I'm just going to kind of take advantage of what's going on there and keep profiting.
You've always been very open about fighters needing to look out for themselves, whether it's in terms of owning their license for their image or their name in video games or their portfolio in terms of what they can do after they retire from fighting. So do you think this is something that not just Bellator, but maybe mixed martial arts in general needs to adopt? Like fighters coming in should take a seminar to learn how to do these things?
I mean, that's basically, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I do have an idea that kind of there's a need in the market for fighters that's not being met. And there's a lot in there with education and just, you know, because we don't exactly operate traditionally like a sport, you know, because in a traditional sport, you compete against somebody who has similar rankings and then you win and you get a higher ranking, and those higher rankings open the door for opportunities and title shots or playing for, you know, divisional championships or whatever. And we don't really have that because there's a more lean on notoriety and popularity, which is a little bit more closer to the pro wrestling model. So regardless of what you like, you have to take advantage of what's happening right now and utilize it. So there's a lot of guys who kind of aren't doing that. I wasn't doing that. I didn't realize that because I wanted it so bad to operate the way traditional, you know, ranking type sports happen. But seeing how the field and the market is playing out, like there's certain adjustments that I realize that I can make, that I have made, that have made a big difference. And if other people implement those things earlier in their career, they'll probably make a huge difference too.
All right. And finally, for me, before I let you go, you had that very infamous fight with Rory McDonald that went to a draw, and a lot of people felt you won, including me. And now he's no longer part of Bellator. Douglas Lima is the champion. Do you feel in any way like an uncrowned champion at this point?
I mean, I walk out of that fight proud. I did all the work. I feel I won the fight. I thought I won 5 rounds. You know, in my heart, I'm a champ. So it's just a matter of time. You know, if I keep getting good offers for fights, I'll do it again. I'll be the oldest champ, current champ soon.
All right. Well, maybe you'll get that after this fight on Saturday. Thank you very much.
I have a great performance on Saturday night, and I know Neiman's going to bring it. It's going to be a battle, and you know, an exciting fight with 2 high ranked guys coming out there doing work. I think the winner should fight for the title.
Giancarlo?
Hi, Jon. Both of you guys are coming off a fight against Rory McDonald. Just what did you see out of Neiman Gracie's performance against Rory? And is there anything in his performance that you think you'll be able to capitalize on?
It was difficult to get too much out of the Rory fight with Neiman because Rory was very conservative. I feel like he wasn't trying to take any risks in that fight, and he took him down, put him in the fence, and just kind of stayed there. I want more action. There's a lot of people that need some distraction, and I want a barn burner.
And just looking at the landscape in the welterweight division, like Scott Coker was saying that he still has a plan for Lima to move up to fight Mousasi for that vacant middleweight title. So, like, even if you win this fight, is there like a fight out there that you want, or would you be content with waiting for the winner of that fight?
Yeah, I mean, at my age, I want to fight big fights. The Gracie fight's a big fight under the lockdown. It's a big fight. And the title, those are where the appeal are. That's what I want to do. Unless I'm going to get paid more money to fight somebody else, I want to fight for the title.
All right, we'll take just a couple more, starting with Zach.
Hi, Jon. Thanks for the time today. So one thing that a lot of people have noticed is you're performing at such a high level at an age where many athletes cannot replicate anywhere close to the ability that you're still putting out. So my question to you is, how really do you maintain your longevity, and how much longer do you think you have? Because do you see you have no signs of slowing down?
I lift weights. But yeah, I think, resistance training, strength training is the real fountain of youth. There are studies that show that heavy lifting keeps your telomeres long. Your telomeres keep your DNA intact and healthy. I think that I stay away from processed foods. I eat a lot of whole foods. I eat a lot of meat, a lot of natural fats. I stay away from seed oils and vegetable oils. I think I just have a really good diet and the lifting weights, training all year round, not letting myself get too out of shape. I think they're big. I think it's a big a part of being healthy. My dad's 75 and he's had he had a heart attack a few years ago, but he's still a very healthy guy and he's still very active. He does a lot of woodworking. He's outside working all the time, plays a lot of golf. And, I would still say, even though he has a pacemaker, he seems 10 years younger than what he is. And I think my grandmother is 95 years old and she's a ball of energy. And I think moving things that move don't age as fast. So, you just get off your butt, maybe turn down the Netflix or turn off the Netflix and do something physical.
Right. And your opponent in this fight, Neiman Gracie, obviously renowned for his amazing submission ability, and your game plan and what you specialize in kind of takes him into his world with his grappling. But a lot of people would think that you have the advantage on the feet in this fight, even though it seems like your game plans more revolve around your wrestling. So are you planning more to exploit the striking advantage that you think you have, or do you want to challenge him on the ground?
So, I mean, a lot of people don't really know what I'm doing when I fight, but I never force anything. I never force a takedown. I'm never looking to get the takedown. I go into the fight taking what's easy. And if the guy opens up and the takedown comes easy, that's where it goes. So I don't ever come in with a game plan like I have to do this in order to win. I have to be in shape. I have to be strong, and I have to react appropriately to the situations that come around. The Fitch Smash system that I've come up with answers all those questions. And as long as I'm in shape and my mind is working right, I'm going to make the right choices and win all the scrambles in every position. So if that means he gives me an easy takedown and I get it and I go to work there, I'll do that. If he makes it easy for me to jab and stay at distance, then I'll do that too.
Hey, Jon, Kevin here. One of the key questions I wanted to ask you was, yes, you said, if he gives you the easy takedown, you're willing to take it. But since he is a Gracie and, he has the exceptional jiu-jitsu skills, will you look for the perfect opening, or are you just going to go in for the takedown?
Man, I've trained myself to the point where I react. I do things and I'm like, oh, wow, that was nice. That came easy. Oh, I did that pretty well. You shouldn't have to be thinking about what you're doing too much in a fight. It should be at that point reactionary. You should have trained your body. You should have programmed the machine ahead of time. If you haven't programmed the machine ahead of time, you're gonna struggle.
All right, and then another thing is, you said it's either the title fight or not, and the way the promotions are going, it's not easy getting the fights you want. Would you compare, MMA promotions to almost a sort of WWE, the way they treat
it? It is. The business model is pro wrestling. And I mean, you can say it's good or bad or whatever, but I think that it takes away from the athletes a little bit because it's not quite a sport in that sense. We don't get to challenge UFC fighters. We don't get to challenge, professional fighter league challengers or whatever. I feel like we should have some kind of unified system where we have, sanctioning bodies that control the title and the promoters cross promote. I think that would be better for all of the promoters. I think it would be better for the companies that would step up and become sanctioning bodies. That would create more businesses, more jobs. It would be better for the fighters because you'd have more opportunities to fight for big titles and you wouldn't get stuck with a bad promoter. They would have to actually work to retain you as an athlete. We would be true independent contractors rather than these pseudo employees.
One last question from me is, Rory McDonald gone to the PFL. You previously fought in the PFL. Would you want to go over and play spoiler for Rory McDonald and not have him win the $1 million?
I'm not a big fan of the tournament system at my age. I think it's great for up and comers who people don't know because it's a great way to build notoriety. It's a great way to build momentum for you moving forward. But I'm not a big fan of it as a professional prize fighting strategy.
All right. With that, we'll wrap up with Jon and return momentarily with Derek Campos. All right, we're now being joined by Derek Campos. First question goes to Steve Jewett.
Thank you, Derek. I always appreciate your time. And I know that originally when this fight was first announced, your opponent was Roger Huerta. And it seems like something changed, and now you're facing Keoni Diggs. So can you tell us what happened there?
I'm not too sure what happened. My manager called me, said Roger was out of the fight, unfortunately. And the offer on the table was to fight Keoni Diggs. He's a game opponent, and, I'm not one to shy away from a fight. So I said, all right, let's send the contract. Let's get it signed. Let's seal the deal, and let's rock and roll. So here we are.
Well, yeah, you've never been one to shy away from a fight at any point in your career, but he does present an interesting new challenge for you because Roger Huerta was more of a known factor, and Keoni, even though he's 8-0, people haven't seen him on the major radar. So have you been able to scout him at all, or is that just too short of a window for you to change anything in your camp?
No, I've been able to, take a look at some of his fight footage, study him, and make the adjustments where I've needed to make them for my training. And I mean, I've got a game plan going into this fight, and at the end of the night, I'm going to do what I got to do to win. So.
And where does this win put you in the lightweight division when the fight's over on Saturday?
Honestly, when it's all said and done, and I've accomplished what I'm going in there to do, it's kind of like a breakthrough for me to get back into the 155-pound division. I do want to get the next fight booked with somebody, of higher caliber. I'm looking at guys like Miles Jury, Benson Henderson. I wouldn't mind fighting Georgie Karankian. It's guys like that. So really, I mean, just whatever's open on the table. Whoever wants to fight, whoever wants to scrap. That's what I'm looking for. But first, I have to take care of business here against Keoni.
All right. Best of luck on Saturday, and thank you for the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, Derek, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good. One thing I just want to talk to you about too is just, I know they had just mentioned about Roger Huerta, but you were also supposed to fight Adam Borch before but before that, is there one that you prefer more to maybe meet down the line, Roger Huerta, Borch? Are those guys that you're still interested in?
Honestly, to be honest, for sure, I would like to compete against Roger Huerta, and I would like to stay at 155 pounds. I don't feel as comfortable as fighting at 145 as I do competing at 155. I know I'm not the biggest lightweight right now. I don't have to make too big of a cut, but I just I feel fresh. I feel like I have more power at 155 than I do at 45. So yeah, moving forward, I want to stay at 155. I've always fought at 155 my whole career. So if I can keep that going, that's the plan. And especially if I can get the next fight or in the future, the bout scheduled against Roger, I rebook that. I would love that,
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Derek. How's it going today?
It's going well. How are you?
Good. So this fight, obviously, you're back in the lightweight division after going back down to featherweight for the Grand Prix. So my question has to be, how does it feel to not cut as much weight again? And what do you think is going to be the biggest differences in the cage after at 155 and then coming back from 145?
Well, it feels great to be back at 155, obviously not having to cut as much weight. I've been able to focus more on trying to, hit the strength training hard and pack on some muscle. And I feel more comfortable. I feel more energized from it, So I'm just looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to get back in there and showcase what power I can bring at 155, even though I may not be the biggest 155. I'm going to be able to push the pace, and I just feel good where I'm at right now.
Right. And the opponent that you're fighting now, Keoni Diggs, is also undefeated, but this isn't the first time you've taken on one of these undefeated prospects as you did fight AJ McKee. So my question is, are you excited to test yourself once again against an undefeated guy?
Absolutely. He's, when you're undefeated, you've got pressure to keep that keep that undefeated record. And, this is, probably his biggest fight to date, personally. On the big stage, and I'm just looking to go out there and perform and put on a spectacular show, and completely dominate him. So the challenge itself is there. I'm just going to go in there and capitalize.
Yeah, and originally you were not supposed to fight Keoni Diggs. You were supposed to fight Roger Huerta. So I'm interested in if the preparation in between, but like for Huerta and for Diggs was a bit different because, you have to formulate a whole new game plan.
Well, against Roger, I was preparing for a scrap. And then when I found out I was fighting Keoni, same thing, preparing for a scrap because he appears to be a good scrapper. He seems pretty technical on the ground. As far as changing my game plan, it remains the same. I'm going to bring the pressure. I'm going to push forward and implement my strategy, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. That's what I trained for. I trained to be well-rounded, and I'm trying to evolve in this game. And that's what you got to do. You got to evolve. You got to improve and change up your game and learn new things if you want to stay on the top.
Hey, Derek, Kevin here. One of the key questions, listening to your responses to the other media members, would you say that you're closing your chapter on the featherweight division?
Yeah, absolutely. If a deal was to be worked for, another bout at 145, but if they needed me at 145 against a game opponent, it was a good bout for me to take, then yeah, sure, I'll drop back down. But going forward, depending on how long I see myself competing, going forward, maybe 2, 3, 4 more years, I would like to compete at 155. But I can't say officially, for sure, that I'm done with 145 because I'm always up for a fight, whether it's 145, 155. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But for now, my goal is to get back to 155 and go after that title.
There's been hints online that, AJ McKee might be looking more forward to moving up to the lightweight division. If you can stack up a couple of wins, do you see yourself matching up against him in the future?
It's a possibility, I'm not going to say no to that fight for sure. AJ's he's a good guy. And if he wanted to come up to 55 and throw down there, shoot, I'd welcome it. I'd say send the contract, let's seal that deal, and let's get it going. But we'll see what happens.
One last question from me is, listen, you lost the last four of your 5 fights. Going into this fight, are you looking to make a statement?
Absolutely. I'm looking to go in there and show the rest of the division, show the world that I've evolved, that my game has changed, that I'm still improving, and that, that this is my home. This is what I do. This is my life. This is my career, and that I'm not done yet.
All right. Thank you so much, and good luck. All right.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Our last question will go to Rick Sanchez.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes. Our question is, who's on your list if you get the win for this Saturday night?
Go out there, and once I go out there and accomplish what I want to accomplish, I definitely want to try and maybe rebook that fight with Roger Huerta. I watched that guy for a long time now. When I started my career, he was already tearing dudes apart, and so to be able to fight him would basically be fighting somebody that I looked up to in this fight game. So yeah, I'd love to get that fight rebooked after this one, but not until I go out there and take care of business.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate your time.
Awesome.
We will go to Neiman Gracie next. Correction, we will go to Keoni Diggs next.
Sounds good. Where we at? Ready up? Yes, sir.
Okay, we are now being joined by Keoni Diggs. First question will go to Steve Judah.
All right, Keoni, thank you for your time. And we only just recently learned that you were having this fight with Derek Campos. So I think the most appropriate place to start is tell us how you got this fight.
I was originally on the card. I'm supposed to fight Saeed Awad on the prelims. Saeed ended up getting injured or something. He wasn't able to fight this weekend. And the same thing happened with Derek's opponent, Roger Huerta. So now we're here.
All right. Well, you've got some hype behind you because you're coming in undefeated 8-0. So what does it mean for you personally to be now on the main card and facing a longtime veteran like Derek Campos?
It means a lot, man. It's a culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of years of grinding, and yeah, just a lot of years of hard work. The culmination of everything. Everything's kind of coming full circle, and then just ready to show the world that I'm a world-class athlete.
All right, and if you were preparing for Sadawad, then he is also a longtime veteran and game opponent as well. So, how much has really changed for you going from one veteran like that to another?
Honestly, really not too much. They're very similar stylistically. Saad's a little bit longer, a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. But they both like to sit in there and bang. And both are vets and have fought some of the guys at the highest level of the sport. So I'm stoked for the challenge.
All right. We look forward to seeing you fight on Saturday night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Kevin Vargas.
Hey, Keoni. One of the questions is, look, going into this fight, your second fight with Bellator, not a lot of people know about you. What are you trying to showcase in this fight, and how are you trying to put your name out there?
Just do my job and go out there, fight and win, and everybody will know because everybody knows his name. But when I win, everybody will know mine.
Going forward, like, how far do you see yourself, closing in possibly on a title picture, with the champion Patricio Pitbull going in? How do you think stacked is the lightweight division?
Oh, it's super stacked. I really think, regardless of the promotion, lightweight is probably the most dense as far as the level of fighters and level of competition. We're all pretty much normal, average-sized human beings, and so you pretty much get the most deep talent in that lightweight class.
All right. So since you're saying that it's stacked, if you seem to be just floating around in the division, do you see yourself moving up, or do you see yourself moving down in the future, or just planning to stay in the lightweight division?
Yeah, for now, I'm probably just gonna stay here at lightweight. I always thought about going down to 45, but as of right now, no. We're just staying at 55 and just continue to win fights. And yeah, all I do is just focus on the next fight ahead. I don't really get too far off into the future or anything like that. I just kind of focus to what's at in front of me and live in the now.
How have you been handling the pandemic? How has it affected your training camp? The process, how has it been going?
It was pretty hard and pretty challenging. We had to be creative and try to figure out some new ways to get the work. Just there's a lot of obstacles, especially in Hawaii, because everything was shut down, and we've been in shutdown. Actually, we're in another lockdown again that the governor just extended it for 2 more weeks. So it's pretty hard, and I was happy that he gave that lockdown only the last week of my camp, so it wasn't too bad because we didn't experience a full lockdown when I had started up camp. And just recently they put it all back down on lockdown. So timing's everything. But hasn't been that much. Just had to go to different gyms. I was cross-training a lot on the west side with Yancey and those guys at West Oahu MMA. We weren't able to go to Gracie Technics because it was closed. Rylan Lazar's and Max's gym, which I usually split time between there and Hawaii Elite, but weren't able to do that this time because of the COVID. So, but besides that, the guys that are fighting, we all kind of stay in the loop and we help each other out when we can. Hawaii's only small, so everybody was helping out. So it still worked out very well.
All right, Keoni, listen, I'm wishing you good luck in your fight and hope to see you do good in the future.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Keoni, appreciate your time. We'll be back shortly with Neiman Gracie.
Alrighty.
Jay, your line is live.
Hey, thanks very much. And Neiman, welcome back. A big fight coming up, obviously, this Saturday. Jon Fitch has been around the sport for a long, long time. He's fought for titles in multiple promotions. What does a win over him represent to you in your career?
I think it's pretty special for me. It's pretty nice because I've been watching him for a long time, and I kind of knew that we were going to fight one time in my career, you know, because when I started fighting at the other show that I used to fight, I think on my first or second fight, he was on the main event of the card. So when I was starting to fight, he was already at the top, and I was looking up to him and saying, hey, I think I can beat this guy, you know. But it took a couple of years for us to meet each other, and I think it couldn't be better. This is the best time to meet him, and it's going to be great. I can't wait for this fight.
Obviously, in the lead up to this fight, we've got a pandemic going on, a lot of gym closures, a lot of difficulty traveling. How has that impacted your training camp this time out?
Actually, it didn't impact. I would say it was actually a better experience this time because I had the gym just for me. I kind of did like the boxing guys do, that they have a camp just for them, you know, instead of being on a gym which 10 other guys are fighting at the same time, and you have your coaches taking care of you and other guys. So I had the camp just for myself, and everything was focused on me. And I think that was a great experience, and I think I'm in one of the best shapes mentally, physically, and spiritually in my career.
And you've been out for just over a year now. With the time away, I mean, did you want to get back in sooner? Was there more of a reason for this layoff? What did you do with the time when you were out?
Yeah, I was supposed to fight in December, and a week before the fight, I broke my hand, and that was really bad because I was really ready for that fight. So that injury was a little trouble. It took a little while to heal. And then they scheduled me to fight in June, and all this madness started happening. So it didn't happen when I wanted to happen. I wanted to come back earlier, but it is what it is, and I'm very grateful to be back right now, you know.
Well, glad to have you back. Looking forward to this weekend.
Thank you.
Steve?
Am I live?
Yep.
Neiman, thank you for the time, and it's always good to talk to you. And I want to know, since it's already been mentioned on the call earlier, that you and Jon Fitch have a common opponent in Rory McDonald, and he was asked if he could pick up anything on how to fight you from watching that fight. So I would pose the same question back to you. Could you pick up anything from seeing his fight with Rory that you can use when you fight him?
Yeah, definitely. I think from every fight that a fighter has, you can watch the fight and pick up a couple things. So definitely, I can pick up a couple things, especially standing up, you know, and a couple on the floor too. So yeah, I don't like watching videos too much on my opponents. But yes, I had a pretty good game plan to fight him.
And we've seen the game plan that you execute work almost flawlessly against everyone, especially when fights go to the ground. So when you think back on that Rory McDonald fight that you had, is there any one thing that you wish you could do that fight over and change it to have it go more your way?
Yes, I think it's something that I will do on this fight, which is not allowing the guys to stay on top of me for so long. You know, even though I'm on the bottom, I'm the one attacking more. I'm the one almost finishing the fight, which was the case against the fight against Rory. If you watch the fight, I fought from the bottom, but I was the one trying to finish the fight. I almost got an arm bar, a knee bar, and many other attacks. So the judges in MMA, they don't see the guy on the bottom winning. Doesn't matter what they do. So I kind of learned that from that fight, and now I'm gonna do my best not to allow them to stay on top of me, doing nothing and waiting for the time to pass by. And I think that's what Jon Fitch does best, and that's what he's going to try to do.
All right, one more from me, Neiman, and then I'll let you go. If this fight goes your way, which you seem very confident of right now, is it a title shot after this with Douglas Lima?
Yes, I think so. I think it's Jon Fitch is it's ranked pretty well, especially right now in his career. He's coming from a lot of wins, and he's coming from a draw against the other champions. So I think, yes, if I beat him on Saturday and if I beat him convincingly, especially, I should get the title shot next.
It's always a pleasure, Neiman. We look forward to your fight on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Neiman, one of the big questions was, in that fight against Rory McDonald, you said, you were trying your best in the bottom, trying to finish with submissions. Was it mentally, did it mentally hurt when you lost that fight? Like, did you take, was it a setback, or did you just move forward from that?
It was a little setback, not because I lost the fight only, but because it was a title fight. So I really wanted that title, and I wanted to have the title at home in Madison Square Garden, New York. And that hurt because I didn't get the belt, So if I lose any other fight, it wouldn't be as bad as losing a title fight. So yes, but I got over it pretty quick thanks to my jiu-jitsu days. I competed a lot, I lost a lot, and I win a lot. So I know how to win and how to lose, and I learned a lot from that fight.
How has the 1 year layoff affected you? Has it been a positive effect, or has it been a little bit of a slow climb back?
I think it was a positive effect. I was ready to fight in December. I was in great shape, but I got injured, and I couldn't come back earlier. It was positive because I kept training this whole time. Even when I had the cast on my hand, I kept training with one hand and kicks, So I never stopped training. I love training, and I kept training and evolving and getting better.
One last thing is, if if Douglas Lima goes up to fight Gegard Mousasi for the middleweight championship, do you possibly see yourself? I know Bellator hasn't done it, but fighting for an interim belt in the future.
Yes, I don't want an interim belt, So if Bellator puts up an interim belt, I'll do it. But it's not what I want. So, but it is what it is,
Carlos? All right, moving on to Trevor.
Hey, Neiman, a quick question about your evolution of MMA. You're extremely credentialed in grappling, but back since 2013, what has been the biggest learning curve in getting into the sport of MMA as a fighter?
I think it was learning that MMA is different from other martial arts. So what I mean by that is that MMA is not jiu-jitsu, MMA is not wrestling, MMA is not boxing or any other thing. So if you're really good at jiu-jitsu, that doesn't mean that your jiu-jitsu is going to be good in MMA. If you're really good at wrestling, it doesn't mean that your wrestling will be really good in MMA. So I find that MMA is a different sport, and that's actually really good for me because I've been doing this sport for a long time, and now I consider myself an MMA fighter. So I'm ready to take down wrestlers. I'm ready to fight any grappling fight that could come into me, and I'm ready to box any boxer actually in MMA.
And just going back on that, what has been like the proudest moment so far in your fighting career that you look back on and that you're most proud of? Out of your extremely impressive record and all these fights, what makes you the proudest as a fighter?
I think was my debut, because it took me a will to leave jiu-jitsu behind and look for something different. So I think my debut was something that makes me proud of. And to see where I am today from where I was when I first had my first fight, it makes me really happy to see that all the hard work that I've been putting, it's working.
Kevin?
I already answered my questions.
Rick?
Yep. Neiman, my question is, after you win this fight, what else do you want to prove if you get the title shot coming up against part 2 with Douglas Lima? What is your next motivation to give out to the fans to know that you can win this fight?
I want to prove that I am the best welterweight in the world, and that I am the best in the world. And I want to prove that I deserve to have that world champion in my record, you know.
All right. Thank you very much, Neiman. We'll be back shortly with Patrick Mix.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right, we're now being joined by Patchy Mix. First question is Con Northrup.
Hey Patrick, how you doing?
How you doing, brother? I'm doing well.
I'm doing good. Thanks for obviously, making a big move to a place like Jackson Wink, you want to be able to get to the level here. So the fact that you did make that leap and now you're here, just what's that like to kind of see the culmination of all that?
It's natural, man. I've been there for multiple years. So I think it's like 3 years now. So, I've been evolving, training with the best guys in the world from all different weight classes. So I'm not surprised to be here, that gym breeds champions, and now I'm fighting for my first world championship,
Mm-hmm. And I know back in Buffalo, you trained with Salman Renfro too, who's coming off a big win too. Were you able to catch his most recent victory? I believe it was the first finish of his career.
Yeah, man. Me and Salman's like a little brother to me, man. I FaceTimed him yesterday. I was watching his fight live with all my people from Jackson Wink. He's like really like family to me. So, yeah, I did watch him, and I'm very proud of him. I know how well he's going to do in his career, and I believe in him more than, just as much as I believe in myself, should I say.
Yeah. And when you look at a guy like Juan, obviously he's very well-rounded, but where do you feel like, maybe is the weakest part of his game?
I don't think he has any weak parts of his game, man. I just think I'm better than him everywhere. So, if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think he has any weak parts of his game, but I think I'm better than him everywhere. I think he's better at wrestling and striking than he is maybe necessarily at grappling, though. So if I had to nitpick at one thing, it'd probably be that.
Steve?
All right, Patrick, thank you and appreciate the time today. A little over a year ago, you made your Bellator debut, and now here you are fighting for the vacant bantamweight title. So what does that mean to you to have come up in the organization so fast?
I'm proud of it. I've come up in every organization I've ever been in this fast. I'm a belt collector. Previously, I was in the King of the Cage promotion, and I ran through everybody I've ever fought there. Prior to that, I think I fought Prodigy. Prior to that, I was an amateur in the Fighter Source tournament. I ran through everyone there. So, ever since I was an amateur, I've been doing this. So I'm not surprised, but I'm grateful and honored to have the opportunity to display my skills. And like I said, I'm 6 minutes in the promotion. That's a third of the time from my opponent's last fight. You know what I mean? And look where I'm at. So, I'm putting in work, and it's all going to come to fruition on Saturday night when I beat Juan Archuleta.
You're definitely putting in work, and that work has obviously reaped the benefits here with this title shot. But there have been a lot of different names talked about for that title shot. Sergio Pettis has been mentioned as well. So at what point did you know it was going to be you and Juan Archuleta?
To be honest with you, I got a call previously to July 24th, and my manager said it was set in stone. But the only way those guys are going to get a title shot over me is just because they're names, If you look at our body of work, man, who's doing it like that? Like me, you know what I mean? It's crazy to think that anyone would be mentioned over me. I think I'm the number one seed if it were a tournament, So I think I got the call like maybe May or something, or June, and that it was going to be official for me and Juan. And then, we were going to fight, and that's the fight they were going to look at. And then over the next few weeks, it then became official, finding a date, a venue, all that, because COVID was still going on.
Well, I guess that's my last question for you, actually, is how much has COVID changed the way you train for a world title fight?
COVID has not changed any part of my training at all. I've been to Jackson Wink. We've been working in smaller groups, but the smaller groups that I work with are all the training partners that I necessarily would work with anyway. So there's just not a lot of stragglers on the mat. You know what I mean? Other guys that are in like not as high level. So I guess it hasn't really changed anything, and it's actually made me better because it made me build a facility back home for myself. And the one thing that you can do is if you isolate me, I come out better than ever. So I've had to be a little bit more isolated in smaller group sessions and with not as many eyes in the room. So I feel like it's let me improve, and it's let the coaches have more individual work with me. And I think it's made me a lot better of a fighter and a lot better of an athlete, especially mentally.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing how that plays out on Saturday night. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Patrick. Thanks for the time today.
Anytime, man. I appreciate it.
So, as you mentioned earlier, you believe that you're better everywhere than Juan Archuleta, and he's primarily known for his striking, and you're primarily known for your grappling. So I'm wondering, are you going to try and play to your strength, or do you really want to test yourself against the striking pedigree to prove that you are, in fact, better everywhere?
No, man, I don't necessarily just call myself a grappler. I guess they just named me that because I finish people on the ground. I could fight standing up as well. And, it just so happened that no one's been able to stuff a takedown. So, I don't mind wherever the fight goes. I don't need to prove myself just because he's a striker, I think I'm already the better striker anyway. So, wherever the fight goes, wherever it plays out, I just plan on dragging him to hell, man. No matter where it goes, I plan on engaging and fighting. So to me, it does not matter if we stay standing up for 25 minutes or if we hit the mat in the first minute. I'm ready just to go fight him. And I'm going to let my fighting prove that I'm better than him everywhere.
Right. And throughout your entire career, you've been known for your activities. You do fight a lot. But as we've seen with these fighters before who become champion, their activity seems to drop off a little bit. So I'm wondering, are you planning to be an active champion who, and how many times do you want to defend your belt per year?
3 times a year at least, man. I want to fight 3 times a year if I got the title, especially because it's a longer fight. I used to pride myself on fighting 4 times a year. I did it my whole career. But 3 times would be a little better because, you have those extra 2 rounds of damage, but I want to be an active champion, right here, when I win on Saturday night, I'd like to defend it in 2020 here and keep the ball rolling. I've only fought on New Year's of last year, basically. So with COVID going on, I want to fight here, put this guy away, and then I want to get back out there, you know what I mean? I want to stay active.
Yeah, and before this, your fight was in the cross-promotion event with Ryzen. And I'm wondering, how different is it for, even though you weren't really a Ryzen fighter for the night, you were still fighting under their banner with the co-promotion. So how different is it the way that they do things compared to Bellator?
It's a lot different, man. You have way more fans. That arena's huge. The crowd doesn't make any noise. And I fought underneath a completely different rule set. I made 134 pounds instead of 135. And I'm one of the guys that brought themselves over there. I think, in the uncomfortable, I don't know if any Bellator people have ever won in the Ryzen ring either. I think Darian Caldwell fought there and then John Macapa. And they were both unsuccessful. So, I did it differently. I put the guy away in 90 seconds. And since then, that guy's been on a 2-fight win streak. So it's a lot different. And for that night, I was a Ryzen fighter, being underneath the rule set, being in the square instead of the cage, instead of the circle, should I say. It's just a lot different. And, it was a good night for me.
Hey, Patchy, I wanted to follow up on something that Steve actually asked earlier. So when you re-signed with Bellator in April, you had no expectation of a title shot. Were you thinking maybe you'd have to fight 1 or 2 more times before the belt?
Well, I re-signed with them actually after my fight last October and last October and the Mohegan Sun, actually, as a matter of fact. And then I got the opportunity to go to Ryzen. So with the win in Ryzen, I definitely did feel I deserved the title shot, and I didn't know if it would be next, but the only way like I said earlier, if it wouldn't be next is just the names, because these guys are a little bit more well known to the casual fans, but the diehard fans know who's putting in work. They know who's who's the hunter, man, and that's me. So I was just hoping Bellator would honor that, and as they did, man, and I have the best manager in the game, Ali Al-Bataziz, man. He worked everything out for me, and he really got me this title shot, so I'm very thankful for that. And, it wasn't that I wasn't that unaware, though. I feel like it was well-deserved.
And this is both a major title shot for you, obviously, and your first time headlining a Bellator card, something you've obviously worked for a while, right up through King of the Cage, like you mentioned. Now that you've arrived, so to speak, are you able to take it all in and really appreciate it and enjoy it?
Man, it doesn't feel like anything different than any other fight I've ever been in, I guess, man. It's just another fight. I've done this 24 times. This is just my 25th, so it doesn't feel any different, especially without fans. It just feels like almost even smaller, because it's there's no crowd, you know what I mean? There's no hype behind it. Normally I'm used to going to weigh-ins like MSG and you get the energy, you know what I mean? And my last fight, I fought in front of 43,000 people at the press conference. There was like 1,000 people at, the weigh-in, stuff like that. So it doesn't feel any different, man. I don't feel any added pressure, should I say. It just feels like a walk in the park for me, like with all that stuff, and then feels almost easier. It's more relaxing for me, I feel like, to be able to just go out there and do it this way. COVID championships, that's what we're calling it.
Hi, Patrick. Last year, you fought 4 times, quick finishes, 2 all in the first round. Just what do you attribute that to? Is it more work you're putting in training camp, or was it advice you got throughout that time?
Yeah, just putting in training camp properly, man, training to my best of my ability. And like I said, never overlooking anyone, man. I think I just, I look at each challenge individually. I don't ever look over anyone. I kind of just, I prepare for that set person each and every time. So I think it attributes to that in my mindset, being mentally strong and mentally tough, I think that's the most important thing. And that's what my coaches have taught me, and I have all my coaches here with me that have brought me up. And, that's the one thing that really I attribute that is to my coaching and just my discipline and my training camps.
And final question for me, who have been some of the fighters you worked the most with during this camp, and how have they influenced your preparation for this fight?
Just another camp, man. It's not just about my training partners, but my coaches. I work with Greg Jackson, Mike Wink, Six Gun Gibson, Harry St. Ledger, Barata. I have so many coaches like that. And then also my training partners. I train a lot with John Dodson, Landon Venata. Did a little bit of time with Cerrone at the ranch, Pico, Edwin Cooper. It's just a multitude of guys, man. Diego Brandau's been a really, really good training partner this camp too. Just all those guys, and then all the guys back home too, from I got Solomon Renfro, Sean Felton, Jeff Dents, G-Dot, Afro Pat, all my guys, man. So, a lot of them they're not the biggest names, but I want to give them some respect and some clout too, because without them, I wouldn't be in this position I'm in.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Hey, Patchy. One of the big things, has been like the Black community being affected by the passing of Chadwick Boseman, the passing of Kobe Bryant. How have you been affected by that? And, how do you plan on, showing support?
Yeah, man, it's been a real sad time this year, 2020, man. It's depressing to see, man, because, I'm a big fan of Kobe. I was actually in California when it all I was watching the Cyborg fight that weekend. So when it all kind of happened, I seen like the area, was devastated. So, it was heartbreaking to see. And then same with Chad, I was going to try to come out with a Wakanda flag on Saturday night, but I couldn't get it delivered here in time to honor him and show some respect. But, it's affected definitely the Black community and myself as well as a lot of people I know. So it's very sad. And I'm hoping to, give him a little Wakanda action on Saturday night when I win, just like I did after the Ricky Bandejas fight.
All right. So Juan Archuleta said that, hey, if he wins the title, that he will welcome Koji Horiguchi back into the cage to defend the belt. Are you also willing to defend the belt against the former champ?
Yeah, man, I'm willing to defend the belt against anyone that Bellator wants to put against me. Once I get this title on Saturday night, which I will, I'm going to be, the guy that has a target on his back. Everyone wants that gold. So there's a long list of guys and long list of contenders in this division that are very valiant for that title shot. And I think Sergio Pettis actually has the next shot. So if Sergio wants it, I would entertain that. But if Horiguchi wanted it, I would also entertain that because, he did vacate the belt. And, I can respect the move he made because, there hasn't been a champion here since he's vacated it last year. And now we're getting the opportunity to fight for it. So either one of those two fights first, and then there's a long list of contenders, that are really chomping at the bit to get up here. So I want to put those guys down too.
All right. Thanks, Patchy. Looking forward to seeing your fight.
Anytime, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Giancarlo?
Oh, sorry, I already asked my questions.
All right, we'll take one more from.
Hey Patrick, when you see a guy like Juan with all this experience, he's 24-2, he's 32 years old, and you're on this fast track to stardom, and you're undefeated. How do you keep a level mindset? When you're yet to taste defeat, and you're going through a camp. Do you like to do anything to focus and like zero in on all distractions and take away all that from a camp?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand it. What'd you say?
So when you have a guy like Juan, he's 24-2. He has some more fights than you, but yet you're 13-0 and undefeated. When you're 27 years old, when you're going through like camps and all that and distractions, what do you feel is like the biggest difference in terms of where you're at in your career versus him being 32 years old and having, a little bit more experience?
Juan doesn't have any more experience than me. He just didn't have an amateur career. If you look and see when we both started fighting, I think I almost made my debut before him or just right around the same time. Just that I'm from New York and we had to accumulate amateur fights, and I fought the hardest amateur fights. I also have 24 wins, but I just have 0 losses. So I don't think he has any more experience than me. He's just a little more hyped because of the people that he's around. And that's it. Where I'm at my career is just as experienced as him, and I'm just as well trained as him. I'm trained around the best fighters, and I'm always in training camp. So where I'm at my career, I plan to show that I'm just more experienced, more well-rounded. I have a higher fight IQ, and I'm just the overall better fighder, even though our age, even the disparity in our age, the only thing that he has on me is maybe that years. And the thing I have on him is called youth.
Yeah. And do you look to impose your own game plan, or are you like looking at film of his and looking at his, reactions and his fight style, or do you just look to impose your own game plan?
No, I mean, I watch and see his tendencies and stuff like that. I actually don't. My coaches watch and see his tendencies, and then they train me as such. But I don't plan on like pre-thinking anything prior to going into the fight. My fight IQ will do that for me. When I get in the fight, I just trust my reactions, and I trust that I can beat him in any facet of the game of MMA. I don't think like I need to grab a hold of him and get him down, or I don't think I need to like pressure him and put him against the cage, and that's the only way. I feel like my fight IQ mixed with my experience and my dedication to my training will let me adapt to whatever happens in there. And that's how I would go earn my finish or earn the way I dominate,
Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Patchy.
Anytime, brother.
We'll wrap this up and return shortly with Lyoto Machida. All right, we're now being joined by Lyoto Machida. First question, Steve Drew.
Lyoto, thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I want to know, first and foremost, with this fight coming a little over 7 years after you fought Phil Davis for the first time, what, if anything, can you take away from that fight to help you in this rematch?
So actually, I consider that we are different fighters, even though you cannot change too much, but I don't want to consider anything from the last fight, because we are 7 years already past, man. So we are more experienced. We are different fighters right now, and I don't have any sense of revenge. I just want to get there and do my job.
My thoughts exactly. You're both completely different now to then. And I'm sure that at this point in your career, you're not even thinking about the past history. You're only focusing on your present day and future performance. So what kind of performance can we expect from you in this fight with Davis?
So I had a great camp, like pretty much 70 weeks of camp, and even though I never stopped training. But I'll give my best, man. I'll give my best. I try to find the rhythm of fighting since the beginning and to give my best, because we all know that Phil Davis is a top opponent, he's a former Bellator champion, and it's not like a random fight in front of me. So he's a champion. He's had the mindset of champion. So we're gonna go there and give you a great show for the fans.
All right, final question from me. You have the mindset of a champion yourself. You've been a champion yourself. So do you see the road ahead of you in Bellator MMA as going for the light heavyweight title against Vadim Nemkov?
What is the question?
Repeat the question, Steve. Repeat the question, Steve.
Oh, sorry. The question was, with a win over Phil Davis and the mindset of a champion, because you've been a champion in the past, can you see yourself challenging Vadim Nemkov for the title?
Yes, but it's very hard to say something before the fight because, as I said, Phil Davis is in front of me on Friday. But of course, I'm not just fight for fight, man. I fight for being a champion. And Nemkov is a excellent fighter. He has a good skills. But now it's time to thinking on my next fight.
Amen.
Lyoto, since you've been in Bellator, you bounce back and forth between light heavyweight and middleweight. This one's going back to light heavyweight. Are you okay? Are you comfortable bouncing back and forth? Do you prefer one weight class over the other?
Oh yeah. That's my purpose here in Bellator, to float in both classes, 185 and 205, because I already had a lot of fights under my belt in 205 and a couple fights in 185 as well. So in Bellator, they gave me opportunity to fight in both classes. So that's the purpose.
A lot has been made about the Bellator light heavyweight division, where it's at right now with Vadim Nemkov, Ryan Bader, yourself, Phil Davis, and comparing it to the UFC. And, I know Scott Coker said he believes the Bellator light heavyweight division is the best in the sport. As a guy who was a UFC champion and now you are fighting in Bellator, where do you think the Bellator light heavyweight division stacks up when you compare it to the UFC?
So we have to see UFC right now, but you know that UFC, they have the 205 class now, because John Jones is out. No, they don't have any contender. The last contender was Dominic. And I see that our category here in Bellator is so warm now. No, everybody wants to see because there's a lot of fighter. And Scott Coker, he's right, man. The 205 class here in Bellator is very, very hot now.
Does that make you want, you said bouncing back and forth, but does that make you want to maybe stay at light heavyweight for a little longer just because of the challenges? I mean, Phil Davis is the guy in front of you, but we just mentioned Vadim Nemkov. That's a fight possibility. Ryan Bader's the guy you have a win over. I mean, do you feel like there may be more opportunity at light heavyweight right now?
Yeah, since when I signed with Bellator, so I put that in my mind that I could fight in 185 and 205, and now I can see that 205 has more opportunity, more challenges in my career. So I wanna be here for a while, and let's see what's gonna happen in the future, man.
Thanks, Lyoto.
Thank you.
Hi, Lyoto. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you.
So, as you mentioned before, you're kind of going in between weight classes from middleweight and light heavyweight, and this fight's obviously at light heavyweight. So I'm wondering, over the years, as such a veteran of the game, has the weight cuts gotten any harder with age, and which weight class feels better for you in the cage?
Which class?
Well, how have the weight classes cuts gotten harder with age, and what weight class feels better on you in the cage?
So I believe that I can fight in 205 and 185, man. I have no problem to cutting weight. Of course, it's not like 205 because 205 I don't need to cut too much weight. But when I'm when I drop to 185, I have to cut too much weight. But I have to be more strict with my diet. But I haven't seen any problem on that. So I just want to be here and fight with the best.
Yes, and as someone who was constantly in the main event scene in the UFC, this is I believe, your first Bellator main event. So I'm wondering, does it feel a little bit more comfortable for you now that you're back in the main event limelight?
To be honest, I don't think like that, because once I think too much about that, I'm gonna put pressure on my back. I don't want to put pressure on my back. Main event is a main event as a first fight. Like fight is a fight. You have to be there and fight. We have more hype when you have a main event in your back. But I try to not think about that. I try just to give my best and enjoy the fight and stay with my fans and enjoy that.
Hi, Lyoto. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
So I know you were saying that you consider you and Phil Davis both basically completely different fighters from 2013 to now. But what part of your game would you say has evolved the most between now and then?
What part of my game? What?
What part of your game would you say has evolved the most between the last fight and now?
So everybody knows that karate is my background, and once you are martial artist, you never stop learning. So you're always evolving. If you keep training, you're going to evolve, like little by little, you're going to evolve. So as an MMA fighter, I try to evolve in different aspects, not only in karate, which is my main tool, but also in wrestling and jiu-jitsu to add something different, to put something different. But my main tool is a karate, stand-up game. And also I try to improve this game because I like the strike games.
Got it. So it seems like cross-promotion call-outs right now are kind of what's hot in the streets. So I just wanted to ask you if you could make one fight between you and any opponent on a part of any promotion, UFC, Bellator, PFL, whatever it was. Do you know who that would be?
So I just said that I never had any sense of revenge. And so who I already fought, but somebody that I didn't fight yet that I would like to fight, it's hard, man, because in my mind, I always think about the moment that I'm fighting. Of course, I've seen a lot of different fighters in UFC, in Bellator, and actually, it's hard to answer this question, man. It's hard to answer. I never stop to think about it, I appreciate so many different fighters. I like to see McGregor's fighter. I like to see fighting. I like to see Khabib. I like to see Anderson's fight. But there is no one that I see as an opponent. I see as a fan as well, and as a martial artist that like to study all the different fighters.
At age 42 now, is the idea to go on one last run for the title? I know you said you can float back and forth between middleweight and light heavyweight, but is your goal to go for one last shot at the title? Have you thought about how long you'll keep going?
Of course. So I don't have a set time limit in my mind. Of course, there will be one day that I'm gonna stop and the the fight for the title is going to be great for me right now because I consider I was born for being a champion, because not being a champion only as a champion in the cage, in the octagon, in the ring, but to be a champion as a person, always to overcome obstacle, overcome a hard situation. And of course, I want to be a champion, but as a 42 years old, I don't have a time limit in my mind. I know we never know, maybe two more years, we never know. So I like to fight, I like to train. The motivation is still on me. That's the most important thing, still in me, yeah.
Whenever we talk about fighters with a karate background who employ the karate stance, we compare them to yourself. We say they fight like Lyoto Machida. What does that mean to you to be kind of the main representative of that background?
So I don't want to say I'm proud of myself because I think that's too much. So I think that I just did what I have to do. What I have to do in my career. I did what I have to do, what I have done. Okay, and because karate didn't have any representative, right? And I was the first one, pretty much. But I like when the karate guys come up to me and ask for some advice or ask for a hug, because it's a recognition. When you as a professional, as a person, you have to have the recognition. And that's so important for me. So I'm very proud to be a karate guy and to represent my flag.
Who's the best representative of that style today, do you think?
In karate?
Yeah.
Like
in MMA?
In MMA?
Yeah.
Who's the best? So we have
From
a couple guys. We have a couple guys. No, we have Thompson, Wonder Boy. We have, but I consider myself one of the main representatives of karate.
All right. Well, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Hey, Lyoto, how you doing?
Hi.
With this fight with Phil, I mean, did you always expect that eventually you guys would cross paths, that you'd run this one back?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Lyoto, did you expect that there would be a rematch?
If I expect
Did you expect there would be a rematch with Phil?
Actually, the Bellator just offered me the fight, and I've been said that I don't have any sense of revenge in my career. So I just consider Phil Davis a tough opponent, and I accept everything that Bellator just offered me.
Thanks, Lyoto.
Hey, Lyoto, you said, you're willing to dip back and forth between the 185 and 205 pound division. You said time, you don't have a time limit. So do you have in your mind a double champ aspirations, or do you just want to stick to chasing the title in one division?
I want to fight for the belt first. It doesn't matter if it's 185 or 205. If I have a chance to fight for the 185 and 205, that will be great. That will be a dream for me. And I just want to go there and show all my skills to my fans and get this belt in the future. And if I have a chance in 185 as well.
Word on the street is Anderson Silva is going to be coming to fight his last fight soon. You and Anderson almost, are brothers in a way. Growing up together, watching him become a champ and dominating the sport, you going and becoming champ, and almost having a similar career path. How has it been? Do you have any words of, what do you think of his career, and how do you feel?
So Anderson Silva has a great career, man. He had a spectacular career, so he's going to go to his last fight. And I think everybody should respect all his legacy, because what he has done for this sport, just few people did that, and he deserves all the best. Anderson Silva is a legend, man. He's a legend. nobody stayed too long as a champion as Anderson Silva and fought the way that he fought, man. So he deserved all the best, and I feel like so there will be a time that you gotta stop, right? So I just didn't put that in my mind yet, but we never know. I always face every fight as my last fight because you never know in the future, man. So even a young guy, they never know. I learned that, and I try to practice that. So every time when I fight, I put that can be my last fight, always, because we don't know the future. We don't know anything about it. We don't have this control. So once you don't have this control, I just have to give my best.
Hey, Lyoto, being at 42 years old and, going through the fight camp and, going through this your entire career, has there been any differences in terms of recovery? Like, oh, I should take a day off here and there. Or what has been the biggest difference compared to, in your younger days in your career?
Oh, definitely is a big difference. So I have to recover much more than back then. But I can compensate in the other side because my experience in fighting, so I don't need to put too much effort in different aspects of training. Like, for example, I train a lot of condition training, technical training, but if you compare one guy 42 years old with 25 years old, so I have more time in the road than the other guy. So I already practice more punches, more kicks. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I don't have to train, but it means that I already train enough techniques. Of course, I have to adjust all the time and be ready to recover my body during a hard session. That's so important because I cannot push too much. The day of the fights is the day of the fight. So I cannot get confused and think that every training is a fight for me. No, it's a preparation. I have to build my body. I have to build my mind to be ready on the day of the fight. That's completely different.
And do you feel when you don't have a fight scheduled, is that when you're most creative in learning new techniques and learning new things? I often hear that from a lot of fighters. Is that, or when do you look to, integrate more, learning methods of fighting into your game?
For sure, man, definitely. So when you don't have any fight coming up, so you can train for free, more free. I mean, you can train today, twice, sometimes, or even 3 times a day, and the other day you can rest, and the next day you can train twice. So that's the time then you become more creative, you become more sensitive, more intuitive, and you can develop different techniques. You can evolve your game in different parts, like in ground game, in stand-up game, in wrestling, because you don't have any pressure ahead of you. When you have a fight, you don't have this time. You just have to train for the fight, to prepare yourself, to improve your conditional, to be ready to the day of the fight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Lyoto. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all. We will be posting these videos to the Bellator PR YouTube page. And look forward to seeing you Friday and Saturday.